Employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter.
Good morning. You get a true behind the scenes. I try to get everything set up very quickly.
Just go to this exclusive web
as we are
address,
set to go on.
ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
No Patrick, so I'm trying to get both computers set up. Oh, can he do it? We're in the opener. We're in the opener. Can I get both of them on?
On your home of the Gamecocks.
Oh, we got an issue.
I don't know what to do. I don't know, but I might go back to me.
107.5.
Crap.
Very good.
So close. Welcome in on a Wednesday morning. Bill Gunner, Jen Jensen. We're hoping Jen's feeling a little bit better because she's just got to make it 2 more shows. I'm sure there's other things that Jen does during her daily routine, so probably not just 2 more shows. You might have to actually survive some other life just a little bit. But Jen will be off to Indianapolis for the Indy 500. How is the health report this morning, Jen? How are we doing? We're all very concerned that you're not going to make the Indy 500. Mm-hmm. That does. Yes, I do hear being too mean can be a reason for not getting a cold. If you want to weigh in this morning, 803-404-6100, how you can do so. We got a lot that we're going to get into this morning here as the South Carolina baseball season comes to a conclusion last night. Jen, did you see the end? Did you stay up for the end? It was if you didn't see the end, well, it was rain delayed yesterday in Hoover. That's going to be another thing we're going to touch on today is just what took place in Hoover yesterday. A ridiculous day. Heath Klein is very passionate about what it takes place, and he's not wrong. I was listening to Heath a little bit yesterday as you had the rain delays. Heath isn't wrong about the stupidity of the SEC and what they're trying to do each and every year with the SEC baseball tournament. And yesterday was an absolute prime example. I have no clue. I have no clue because as soon as the South Carolina game went off air, I turned off the television and kind of got into bed. And that was in the vicinity, I believe, of 10 p.m. I reckon that's what seems correct, is that roughly about 10 p.m. last night, South Carolina's game ended, so it would have been 9 p.m. Central Time, Hoover time, and Vanderbilt and Mississippi played, and I have no clue. Vanderbilt won 3-1, but I have zero clue what time that game actually concluded this morning. And just ridiculous that they even tried to play a game in an effort to get 3 of the 4 games in the SEC tournament. At least now is only 1 game behind. But for those 2 fan bases, for those 2 teams, who knows what time, if you stayed up or you kept or you paid attention to it, kudos to you. But we'll get into both sides of that. One, the South Carolina-Florida game, in which South Carolina loses 2-1 in 10 innings, and they lose on just a tough play. That's the best way I can describe it. A throw from center field on a line out. Evan Stone fields it perfectly, momentum, carrying him to the plate. He throws a strike to the catcher at home plate, who applies the tag but bobbles the ball, and it pops out, and the Florida runner is safe. Just a gut-wrenching way to drop the season ender, but unfortunately, it maybe poetic in that that's how it ends. Just so close yet so far away, and just a very very difficult way for South Carolina to wrap up the season. And I'm a South Carolina fan. I've grown up here. I've watched this. I've watched this program, and it didn't really sink in until last night when the game ended. The stat that Tommy Moody had mentioned multiple times, and I heard him talk about it yesterday when he was on with Jay and Terry in the afternoon. It was a stat that we mentioned on this program. South Carolina had not had a below 500 season in baseball since 1996. 1996, 26 years of baseball without a below 500 record, and South Carolina wraps it up 27-28 is what they finished this season. They finished 13-17 in the regular season in the SEC, and just gut wrenching last night. But now the big question, and it's a legit question, and I can see all sides of it. And I don't think anybody's wrong this morning with your opinion, to how you feel about the direction and the future of the program, because it's startling, and it tells you how good South Carolina baseball has been to go 26 seasons without a losing record, and yet you get one last night. Will Sanders was absolutely phenomenal, by the way, too, last night. Just talk about squandering an incredible pitching performance. Sanders, 7 innings, gives up 4 hits, 1 run, struck out 10, struck out 6 in a row at one point, was absolutely on fire. He walked 3, faced 26 batters. Just absolutely phenomenal performance for him last night, but it doesn't matter a lick. He throws 99 pitches. Kate Austin came in and pitched fairly well, but South Carolina, again, the way they lose, just heart wrenching there for the kids, because they did seem to be fighting and battling. Obviously, it was not good enough, but they didn't seem like a team who had just quit, who had just showed up to Hoover, had brought one change of clothes, and was just ready to come on back home and start their summer. And when you see a team, whether they're not good enough or they're too good, but when you see a team battling and trying to give it their all and extend a season, your heart goes out to them when they lose a game like that. But last night, simply not enough batting, the hitting. I just mentioned the performance of Will Sanders. Brandon Sproat, the Florida starter, unfortunately, just as good, if not better. He threw 8 and a third innings, gave up just 4 hits, 1 earned run, struck out 7 and walked 1. He threw 110 pitches. He was not happy to be pulled out in the ninth inning, and South Carolina was able to get that run in the ninth and send the game to extras. But tough one for them last night. So we'll talk a lot of baseball today. Coming up at 8 a.m., Kip Bouknight will join us to kind of break down what he sees. And again, big picture on the baseball program is the big question. Not that this year stunk. It was awful. It's a massive disappointment. Nobody's arguing about that at all. But now the question becomes big picture on the South Carolina baseball program and where they are heading and what direction they need to be led in. So we'll talk about that. We'll get into the SEC tournament a little bit as well. Heath was very adamant and quite fired up about the format of the SEC baseball tournament yesterday. We'll talk a little bit about that and get thoughts and opinions on that. I've never been to Hoover. I never went and covered it with John Whittle when I was working with BigSpur.com. I never went and did the coverage for that. He always went and covered it. So I've never been there in person for it. If you've been, I'd kind of be interested to hear your opinion of the tailgating scene, the kind of atmosphere, if you like that. I was listening to he talked a little bit about yesterday, and I guess there's an RV park, and it's similar where you can go and sit out in your RV and kind of tailgate all weekend and go in and catch some baseball and come back out and tailgate. That sounds like a pretty cool setup and the right idea. It's just the SEC, for all they do well, and they do a lot of things well. We know that football, basketball, the SEC baseball tournament is a wild thing that they just don't even seem to have a concept of how to run properly when consistently they fall behind just like this, and you're trying to play catch up over the next several days to get games in. So we'll talk a little bit about that, obviously, as well. I want to get into some college football discussion coming up in about 30 minutes. Brad Crawford of 24/7 Sports will join us this morning, and we will get a couple different takes on him. One of them is an SEC take that's purely my own, but when the SEC mentions having their own college football playoff, and obviously they're just throwing it out there as a little bit of, hey guys, we can do this. But I don't think there's a question that Greg Sankey hasn't thought about it and how he gets to an all SEC playoff. I'm going to throw out a suggestion to you and see what you think. As certainly the SEC is capable of doing it, but they need a little help, and I'll tell you how coming up later this morning as well. So a lot to get to here, and certainly I do want to mention this, and I have to thoughts and prayers for Texas, for the state of Texas today, for everything going on in that part of the country, for the school teachers, for the students, for the parents. We can't just ignore it. Yesterday, words cannot describe the tragedy that took place in our country. And hug your kids a little bit closer this morning as they go off to school. You got to. Stop. So, yeah, we're a sports talk show, and certainly we want to keep it light and have fun, but we would be remiss if we did not mention that tragedy yesterday. And I've got 2 kids, 10 and 12, and hug your kids a little bit closer this morning as they go off to school. It's awful yesterday. So thoughts and prayers out there with them. But we're going to do our best to keep it lighthearted, to talk sports this morning, to cut up as we like to do, and be a diversion from what's going on out there. And certainly don't want you to come in and we bring you down this morning, but we would be remiss, Jen, if we didn't mention that and just say our thoughts and prayers out there to Texas and everything that happened yesterday. So difficult day, but we will get into some sports. That's what we're here to talk about. We try to be entertainment, nothing more. We are nothing. We have a wheel of agony. We have a wager going on with painted fingernails involved. We try to be entertainment and fun each and every morning. That's what we want to be this morning. So want you to be a part of the program. Certainly want to talk South Carolina baseball and your big picture thoughts. Want to talk college football. Brad Crawford at 6:40 this morning. Kip Bouknight at 8 a.m. in between. If you want to weigh in, 803-404-6100. How you can be a part of the program. You can go to our live stream as well. Larry, Robin, Anthony, Jason, Anthony, all up and at it with us this morning. You can go and be a part as well. Jen, guess what I learned last night fiddling around? I've now figured out how to go in and edit the live stream post show to put up clips on our YouTube. So yes, I only took a couple years, but that's how we move on this program. We tend to be a little bit slow on things like that. We've got it figured out. We'll get to the text line. We'll get to some college football discussion, some college baseball discussion as it pertains to South Carolina. You're listening to Bill Gunner and Jen Jensen. It's the early game on 107.5 The Game.
Also talk a lot of college football. Wes Mitchell will be with us in the 11 o'clock hour.
All right, let me see if I can get this.
Preston and I will get into the history of recruiting in the 10 o'clock hour and a lot more on the changing landscape of college football. I keep saying that, but the potential changes in the SEC, to a playoff structure, to the divisions, which might be going away. Just a whole lot of interesting stuff going on in college football right now.
The Extra Point with Pearson, Preston, and Gamecock Central. 9 a.m. to noon on your home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game. 107.5 The Game traffic from the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center. Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality. ShepherdsGlass.com.
Taking a look at the conditions out on the highway this morning, and we just have one accident reported, and that's I-26 westbound before mile marker 85. So that's kind of up in Newberry County. But if you were heading in the upstate this morning, it might be impacted. Again, I-26 westbound just before exit 85. Forecast for today, not looking for any rain per se, should be clearing a little bit. Tomorrow we could see some evening storms rolling back in, and Friday some rain and storms as well. Tomorrow's high 87. Right now 65-75 the game.
This is Boomer Esiason with the CBS Sports Minute, sponsored by AutoZone. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Rookie coach Becky Hammond has made her mark on the Las Vegas Aces already. The first WNBA coach to break the $1 million salary barrier has encouraged her squad to double last year's three-point attempts. And the 7-1 Aces are scoring at a record 93.3 points per game clip. That's what I call Coach Boomer Esiason.
There we go. All right.
Get in the zone, AutoZone. Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Starting trouble. No one likes that. We'll get you set up for some stronger starts. You might just need a fresh charge. We'll take care of that free of charge. But if it is time for a new battery, we've got replacement batteries that'll fit your needs, starting at just $69.99. You can learn more about our battery selection at AutoZone.com. That's what makes us America's #1 battery destination. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Based on data from the NPD Group 2021. Hi, this is Joe Cordell at the law firm Cordell & Cordell. When the prospect of divorce,
Morning to everybody.
You need a
Yeah.
partner that you can count on. If you're a man in this situation,
Tough
consider
yesterday.
contacting Cordell & Cordell. We've helped men navigate complex legal matters for 30 years.
Contact Cordell & Cordell to schedule an appointment with one of our firm's Columbia area attorneys. 1201 Main Street, Suite 840, Columbia, South Carolina, 29201. Joseph Cordell, licensed in Missouri and Illinois only. Online at CordellCordell.com.
Sponsored by Mattress Firm.
Larry, you're right. Will Sanders looked awesome last night. Just unfortunate for him.
And save up to $500 off during the best.
Just absolutely unfortunate for Will Sanders. Just
get a free adjustable base with qualifying purchase. Uneven sidewalks, pool decks, or patios, Canty can repair them.
all right. Oh, Twitter. I got to get the Twitter.
Canty Foundation Specialist today for your free estimate. Uneven concrete can be a dangerous tripping hazard leading to injury. Call the experts at Canty to permanently repair your sinking or cracked concrete. Call 753-1495 or visit CantyCanFixIt.com. Canty can fix it.
And Keith, for AAA Heating and Air, for the next 60 days, they've got their pre-summer sale going. You can take advantage of a $1,500 system buyback instant rebate at 0% interest for 60 months for well-qualified buyers. If you've been thinking about getting yourself into a better situation with regards to heating and cooling, there's no time like the present. Your credit shot, don't be hot this coming summer. AAA guarantees financing on a new system. All you got to do is give a call. 677-1500. That's 677-1500. AAA Heating and Air's got you covered with a 15-year parts and labor warranty that is transferable. They're going to take great care of you like they've been taking care of people around here for a long time. Go ahead, David. AAA Heating and Air are looking out for you. All you got to do is give a call. Get that number, 677-1500. That's 677-1500. It's AAA Heating and Air, 677-1500. Give a call.
All right, come on. What's Kip Bouknight's Twitter handle? I know it's Kip.
There's just something different about Medicine Mart of West Columbia. Just ask Brad Giles.
Just the level of service that you receive versus the big chain stores. These folks always call you by name when you walk in the door. You know, you hear that saying that people don't care what you know until they know that you care. These folks care, and it's real obvious in the level of service they provide to you. So Lynn and his team over there at Medicine Mart have certainly got my business for the rest of my life.
Medicine Mart Pharmacy at 1300 Sunset Boulevard in West Columbia. They look forward to serving you.
Your local radio stations are here for
Okay, apparently Kip Bouknight is off Twitter.
We're here to give you the news, weather, and traffic you need, and the music you love. But if the foreign-owned record labels get their way, it could stop the music. They want Congress to force radio stations to pay them more money, simply to play their music. Don't let radio go silent. Text LOCAL to 52886 and tell Congress to protect local radio stations. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
This is Trooper Tony Kennedy for South
All
Carolina
right.
Highway Patrol. And I've got a question for drivers. Do you look for motorcycles when you're behind the wheel? And here's another question. Could you imagine what it's like to be on a motorcycle that is hit by a car or truck? Many motorcycles injuries and fatalities can be prevented if drivers could do that one simple thing.
Yeah, I left my kids at the house today. They'll get to school here shortly, but I don't like doing that.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. This is 1075 The Game.
Stop by and shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. The early game. With Bill Hunter, Patrick Perez, and Jen Jensen on your home of the Gamecocks. The early game. 107.5 The Game.
6:21 on a, I don't know, it's overcast morning. But, Jen, we're getting to that time of year. I think we're, about 3 weeks away, 4 weeks away from that day where both of us drive up Gervais Street area, and it's completely sunny.
Yeah, it's getting pretty close now. I was surprised. I mean, it really shocking when it's not a cloudy morning, but it's been a lot brighter.
It has. Yep. So we are there. Just a few days left for the school year for students around here. And again, thoughts and prayers for teachers and parents and everybody out in Texas. Certainly that's weighs heavy on our mind this morning. If you want to weigh in, 803-404-6100, how you can be a part of the program. South Carolina last night, a 2-1 loss to the Florida Gators in Hoover. South Carolina, Will Sanders really cannot speak enough to the job he did last night. 10 strikeouts total, gives up 4 hits, 1 run, none earned, walked 3, pitched 7 innings, was fantastic. Will Sanders was fantastic all season long, and I don't know what the direction or who the leader of South Carolina baseball is going to be in 2023, but you've got a great foundation piece, a cornerstone to start with, a guy that has shown to be one of the top pitchers in the SEC, and last night went out and threw an absolute gem. RL saying, I guess we knew the team was not going to win the tournament. Glad Sanders went out with a gem. A couple of you also weighing in this morning on our text line and saying basically the same thing. Larry saying Sanders looked excellent. It was tough last night. He was dealing and giving South Carolina every opportunity to win that baseball game, and the bats just simply could not get to Brandon Sproat. So if you want to weigh in this morning on the baseball team, 803-404-6100. Gene weighs in, says that play at home plate last night is a microcosm of our whole season. We do everything right, and we drop the ball in the tag. Finally, it's over. Yeah, the final play, if you didn't stay up to see it, shot back up the middle of the field, line drive. Evan Stone makes a great play on it. Florida had a runner on third, and he decided to tag up, and it was LaCroix at home plate who Evan Stone put it on the money. And it was a great play. It was a great slide by the Florida base runner, but it looked like LaCroix got the tag in, and initially on the television angle from what I was watching initially as it happened, I thought that maybe he just got the tag up high around the armpit, around the shoulder, and that they were the Florida runner was able to get his foot onto home plate there before LaCroix could get the tag on. As it turned out on replay, because when they challenged it, I thought, oh, it's a no-brainer. They're going to call him, likely they're going to call him out. There's just something, the umpire missed something. But as they showed replay, it was evident very quickly, and it didn't take, I don't know, more than 45 seconds for them to confirm the call that as LaCroix tagged the Florida base runner, what he ended up doing was dropping the ball kind of squirting out the top of his glove and landing on the ground, and not even anything to debate or to talk about. So Florida goes on to a 2-1 victory. Again, last night, or yesterday, I should say, Alabama and Georgia took forever to complete that game. Started at 10:30. Alabama wins 5-3, so Georgia eliminated. South Carolina again losing 2-1, and Mississippi losing 3-1. So Mississippi eliminated as well yesterday. Mississippi, Mississippi a one-time this season. I'd have to go back and look. I don't know if it was when they came to Founders Park. I don't know if it was when they came to Founders Park, but it was either the week before or maybe 2 weeks before. Mississippi was the number 1 ranked team in the country. It goes to show you what SEC baseball will do to you. Mississippi was the number 1 ranked baseball team in the country, and they finished the season 32-22, 14-16 in the conference. So that was I want to say early April. I want to say a week before. I believe they got swept by Tennessee and Oxford. And I don't know if that was the week before they played South Carolina or 2 weeks prior to them playing South Carolina, but Mississippi losing last night, and they finished the season 32-22, 14-16 in the SEC. So we'll continue talking about that if you want to weigh in this morning. 803-404-6100. John from Somerville says Kingston needs to go. Since I'm a Tigers fan, I'd like to see him stay, though. Well, there you go, John. Appreciate the weighing in. Certainly understand where you're coming from this morning. Again, it's Bill Gunner. It's Jen Jensen. It's the early game on 107.5 The Game.
107.5 The Game, streaming 24/7.
1 billion of us own a smartphone, and we know how addicting it can be.
Just go to iTunes or the Google Play Store and download our app, so you never miss any of your favorite shows. On your home of the Gamecocks, 107.5 The Game. 107.5 The Game traffic from the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center.
A reflection of quality. ShepherdsGlass.com.
So working an earlier accident, if you're headed into the upstate, just be aware I-26 westbound just before exit 85, there is an accident there, slowing things down. The forecast, 82 for the high today with some clearing. Another chance for storms coming in, not till tomorrow night. 87 for the high, but it's overcast right now, and 65 at 107.5 The Game.
Hey, is this Line Secure? Franco's cybersecurity firm secured a contract, and that's all we're allowed to say.
We have a green light on hiring.
He needs web security professionals with a military background.
3 teams of 4, 24-hour rotations. Protocol Zulu is on a need-to-know basis.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from the Indeed dashboard, so you can stay organized and connected all the way to the hire. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
At the United States Post.
Okay, there we go. One more thing there.
Affordably, so you can give your customers what they want when they need it.
Was it 3 weeks? Thank you, Mac. 3 weeks before they came. Just goes to show you. Unbelievable.
Wholesale, large scale, small biz, big box, customers.
Unbelievable.
So no matter what business you're in, we'll always.
I guess they're still projected. I haven't looked, obviously, without South Carolina being in.
Learn more at USPS.com.
I haven't looked to see if Mississippi's still projected into the NCAA tournament.
Mention me, Bill Gunner at 107.5 The Game. You'll get a hallway clean for free. Schedule online at ZeroSColumbia.com.
Hi, Scott here with Traditions Fine Jewelry. Everybody knows that diamonds are a girl's best friend, but did you know that now there's a new kind of diamond that's sure to become a girl's new best friend? I'm talking about lab-grown diamonds, of course. They're exquisite, they're stunning, and they're incredibly affordable. Best of all, if you're looking for something big, they eliminate the need to settle for a lower-grade stone, because now you can get a beautiful, eye-clean, bright, 1-carat diamond for
Yeah, just the first losing season.
Just $29.99. Or you want to go really big? How about a 3?
The first losing season just bothers me.
Of course, we still carry diamonds
sucks.
that come from the earth, and we always will, because there's nothing more romantic than an earth-line diamond. But now, modern technology gives you this amazing.
I gotta kind of admit that's hard for me to having a losing season. It's hard for me to sit here and justify anything that involves bringing Mark Kingston back.
Now with 2 locations to serve Sunset Boulevard and
I just don't know if you feel comfortable. I guess I should turn that on in case. Oh, that wasn't.
Attention, anyone shopping for a new Jeep.
I don't know if that justifies. I don't know if that justifies. Like, do you really trust? This is the good point. Hold on, Jen. When you get if you can hear me, you can just turn that down in here just a little.
Your price is locked in, and you're protected against a Jeep price increase. Other Jeep dealers are charging tens of.
There we go. Like a party in here, but it kind of stinks to ask this question. But I mean, is Ray Tanner really the guy you want trying to make the hire? I mean, that's $1 million question there. Do you really want Ray Tanner trying to hire another baseball coach?
I'll take the job.
That's what I figured. Yep. Okay, cool. We will definitely get to play that number one. Try and talk some football here.
Yeah.
And then you got Brad's number, right?
I do.
Okay. Yeah.
So we're taking him. We're in the 26 now. So we'll do the 40 break and then take him.
Yep. I'll make this one kind of a quick one too. I mean, it's not so much justifying bringing back Mark Kingston. Nobody, I think, would argue that with making a change. I think, unfortunately, it's this next part. I don't know if you want Ray Tanner making that. If I told you Ray Tanner was going to step us, I don't know this. I'm just hypothetical. I'm throwing out a hypothetical. If Ray Tanner was going to step aside, would you be willing to go through one more year of Mark Kingston to let the new AD make a choice?
.632 on a Wednesday morning, May the 25th. Bill Gunner, Jen Jensen, hanging out with you, talking about last night's South Carolina loss 2-1 to Florida in 10 innings. We'll let you listen to a little audio from that here shortly as we go through the program. If you want to weigh in on that, 803-404-6100. Several of you weighing in on our live stream. Thank you to Mac, who points out and reminds me Ole Miss was number one 3 weeks before they came to Columbia. So I remember that was just in that period where South Carolina seemed to be playing the number one team just about every week, whether it was Texas. I don't think Tennessee. I think Tennessee was making their ascension up the charts, up the rankings when they faced South Carolina. I think they were just inside of the top 10. You had Vanderbilt, and then at one point, as we were just looking down the schedule, you had Mississippi. But thank you to Mac on our live stream. You can go and be a part of the live stream where you can go to youtube.com, click and subscribe, and join us and watch, be a part of the chat room over there. Again, a lot of people in there, Mac, Robin, Jordan, RL, Roger, all a part of our live stream this morning. Roger saying there's nothing to justify. Kingston is not an SEC coach. So several of you weighing in on the live stream, you can go and be a part of that. We'll continue talking baseball, but I did want to get into some football coming up in about 7-8 minutes here. Brad Crawford of 24/7 Sports will join us. We'll pick his brain on multiple different topics as it pertains to college football. But one of them, the SEC meetings are set to take place next week down in Destin, Florida. And I touched on this a little bit yesterday. And what I'm about to kind of lead into with, and it's a discussion that I'll make for some of the morning when we talk college football, is Greg Sankey and the SEC athletic directors have kind of floated this idea of, well, we worked really hard to help build a potential college football playoff. You know, we kind of went out of our way to help build this 12-team college football playoff, to redo it, to maybe make it a little more fair. And quite frankly, the SEC kind of saying, look, you know, we tend to dominate this thing. We want to kind of be able to include some of you in it as well and make it a little bit different, only to see it shot down at the last minute. And so it's been floated kind of by different people in the SEC of the idea of, oh, okay, well, that's fine. You don't like our idea. You know what? Just go we'll create our own SEC football playoff, and we'll just take our ball and go home. We'll be the big draw. Now, I don't think, because this is where you've got to think about Greg Sankey as a businessman. And what we know is that at this time last year, around mid-May, completely off the grid, under the radar, Greg Sankey was pulling off the biggest change in college football we've seen to date, pulling Oklahoma and Texas away from the Big 12, but doing it where nobody knew. This story leaked in August. And by the time it was so far down the tracks that when it leaked, it was over. That basically the SEC and Texas and Oklahoma had to say, yeah, we've pretty much already come to agreement. It's really just a formality now. It didn't take months for the SEC and Oklahoma and Texas to hammer anything out. It was pretty much done. in May, in this time last year, Greg Sankey was pretty much putting the final touches on that deal. And there was nothing reported around Memorial Day last year about what was going on. So I ask you this morning. If the SEC is saying, you know what, you don't like our playoff system, you don't like what we tried to do for you, tell you what, we'll take our ball and go home. I don't think Greg Sankey is ignorant enough as a businessman to think that the rest of the country wants to watch a true SEC playoff. I mean, let's be honest. How many of you really get excited on a Saturday night if South Carolina's played, say, at noon or at 3:30? How many of you truly would be excited to watch Kentucky and Mississippi play? I mean, doesn't that just sound like an SEC network game? Well, we love college football. I love college football. But if your playoff game is the number 2 seeds playing against each other, or let's say it's the 2 and the 3, the 2 out of the East, the 3 out of the West, Kentucky and Arkansas, you really going to go out of your way? Is that really the kind of revenue that's going to generate big bucks from CBS or ABC or ESPN or Fox or whomever? Like, is Kentucky, Arkansas as part of your playoff, your SEC playoff, the game that's going to get you excited? Maybe Florida, LSU, if that's in typical years. Maybe if Georgia's the 2 seed and Texas A&M's the 3 seed. Yeah, okay, I can kind of see that. What I wonder is Greg Sankey now, if other conferences are not willing to buy into his plan. Greg Sankey doesn't need the ACC. He doesn't need the Big 12. He doesn't need the Pac-12 to buy into his plan anymore. You know what he needs? He needs Clemson. He needs Florida State. Maybe he needs Virginia Tech. Maybe he wants Oklahoma State, Southern Cal, Oregon. I see the SEC and the Big 10 pulling away. And the SEC leading the charge in the Big 10 with the financial resources they're going to have going, yeah, we'll follow you. What do you want to do? We've already seen the Big 10 completely screw up college football once 2 years ago during the pandemic when basically they came out and were like, no, we're not playing football. We're done. We're out. We're not going to do anything, only to then backtrack on that. Kevin Warren is not going to be the leader of this revolution. But Greg Sankey can look around right now and go, all right, ACC, John Swofford, you don't like my playoff plan? That's fine. I know you've got this massive grant of rights deal that runs through 2035, 2036. I know that that's sitting there, but you know what? The money we're going to make off of maybe bringing in Clemson and Miami and Virginia Tech and North Carolina in football only, we'll let you have your basketball stuff. You can do what you want. Keep him in there for basketball if that's what you so desire. He doesn't need the ACC or the Big 12 or the Pac-12 to be involved. He just needs the teams. And this huge pile of cash that's being talked about now, he might be able to pay those buyouts, those grant of rights buyouts that is supposed to keep the ACC teams in through 2035, 2036. And then all of a sudden you bring those football teams in. Well, all of a sudden the SEC doesn't look like just the 16-team conference we think we're about to see. It looks a little different. College football is the SEC. And your commissioner now dictates the entire, let's say it gets to a 32-team conference, but there is your top-level SEC college football division. Something to think about. I'll explain that more as we go through the morning. We got Brad Crawford coming up next. Talk some Jimbo Fisher, Nick Saban, get his thoughts on SEC meetings and scheduling. A lot to get to this morning. You're listening to Bill Gunner and Jen Jensen. It's the early game on 107.5 The Game.
Here's what's coming up on the next halftime show.
Hey guys, Jay and Terry coming up on the Wednesday halftime show. All the recap of Carolina, Florida, and what's next for South Carolina baseball. Big picture, small picture, Terry Ford. Well, we'll find out all those things here in the coming days.
We will know.
We will. And
how soon will we know what we don't know?
That's a great question as well. That sounds very philosophical.
Did you like that?
I might actually hurt my head a little bit.
Yeah.
I'll think about that.
I read that on the internet. I didn't make that up on my own. I'm not that smart.
Internet never lies, Terry.
The halftime show with Jay, Terry, and Tommy. Noon to 3 on your home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game. 107.5 The Game traffic from the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center. Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality. ShepherdsGlass.com.
Still just that one accident to remind you about, and that's I-26 westbound just before exit 85. Rain not in the forecast today. We'll hope it stays that way. Some clearing. 82 for the high, 87 tomorrow, but we might see some afternoon and evening storms rolling back in. And a high, like I said, of 87 tomorrow. 81 for Friday. Right now, though, it's overcast. A little bit cooler than we've had for a few days. 65. 107.5 The Game.
Sponsored by KFC. Sharing sides is good. Getting enough so you don't have to, that's finger licking good. Choose 3 large KFC sides, like secret recipe fries or creamy mac and cheese with 8 pieces of tenders or fried chicken when you get KFC's Side Lovers Meal. Order now on the KFC app. Prices and participation may vary.
Texting enrolls you into reoccurring automated text messages. Message and data rates may apply.
Come on, one more rep. You got this. 10. There it is. Nice work, man. You're a beast.
Thanks, man. I feel better than I have in years. And I got to tell you, taking Nugenix makes a huge difference for me.
Nugenix? That's the testosterone booster with TV ads with Frank Thomas. The big hurt, right?
Oh, yeah. This is a legit product. The key ingredient is Testofen, which helps boost free testosterone levels and increase lean muscle mass.
Well, it's clearly working for you. Hey, are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try for themselves?
Yeah, Nugenix is a great way to increase lean muscle and feel stronger with more energy and endurance.
Man, I need to get a complimentary bottle of Nugenix.
No problem. You just got to send them a text. Text LEAP to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix, the #1 selling free testosterone booster at GNC. Nugenix samples are not available in stores, so text LEAP to 321-321 right now. Text LEAP to 321-321. That's LEAP to 321-321.
It's big. It's primal. It's the new Jurassic-inspired breakfast menu now at Hardee's. Slow-cooked sliced prime rib, fluffy eggs and melty cheese, covered in zesty amber barbecue sauce. You can get it on a burrito, you can get it on a made-from-scratch biscuit, or you can get up on the counter and grab it like a dinosaur, but please don't. Bite into the new Jurassic-inspired primal breakfast menu only at Hardee's. Feed your happy. See Jurassic World Dominion in theaters June 10th. Available for limited time at participating Hardee's restaurants during regular breakfast hours. Price and participation may vary. Rated PG-13. Some material may be inappropriate for children under 13.
I'm Bridget Condon with NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network. OTAs are underway in Santa Clara for the 49ers as trade scenarios continue for quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo. Head coach Kyle Shanahan telling reporters that he expects Garoppolo to be traded at some point, but there's no guarantee. Shanahan says moving Garoppolo went on hold following his shoulder surgery this offseason. Meanwhile, Tyreek Hill already giving high praise for his new quarterback, telling reporters Tuesday that Tua Tagovailoa throws are, quote, one of the prettiest balls I've ever caught. Head coach Mike McDaniel said Tua missed Tuesday's OTA sessions with an illness. Ryan Tannehill clearing the air Tuesday after his recent comments saying it isn't his job to mentor rookie Malik Willis. Tannehill says he reached out to Willis and told him he will be a great teammate, and the entire situation was blown out of proportion. This has been NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network.
Here at Total Wine & More, you'll find what you love and love what you find, especially our totally low prices.
I'm firing up the grill for burgers and want to impress the neighbors.
This bourbon has a smoky flavor that'll go great with your grilling.
Nice! Wow, and look at that price. Well done.
I prefer medium rare. Your neighbors will love it. Find what you love what you find. Only at Total Wine & More, with the lowest prices in South Carolina. Drink responsibly, B21.
Were you exposed to hazardous materials while serving in the military and have an illness or condition as a result?
If so, you may be eligible for VA benefits and services. Whether you need health care or want to file a disability compensation claim related to military exposures, VA is here to help. Visit va.gov/military-exposures to learn more and apply today.
You served your country. Now let VA serve you.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. This is 107.5 The Game. Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. The Early Game with Bill Gunter, Patrick Perez, and Jen Jensen on your home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game.
.646 on a Wednesday morning. Bill Gunner, Jen Jensen, as we cruise along. Let's go ahead and get out to the Love Chevy phone lines, where we're joined by 24/7 Sports Brad Crawford, covering all things both national and SEC. But Brad, welcome in this morning. Glad you're up and at 'em early. The SEC is they're becoming like the NFL. They just know how to take up the news cycle each and every month. And then this month it was Nick Saban and Jimbo Fisher who decided to make sure the SEC stayed relative to the news. And your take real quick on just the back and forth, how you digested watching Nick Saban first call out Jimbo Fisher and then Jimbo Fisher have his own press conference to offer a rebuttal.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty rich, man, that Jimbo Fisher, came back out with that rebuttal calling Nick Saban a narcissist. And this is the same guy who basically scheduled a random press conference in May to trade blows with one of his coaching rivals. Both of these guys, in my opinion, have huge egos. I think Saban's still sore from losing to A&M last season head-to-head. Aggies had a backup quarterback in that game. And then he watched, 8 5-stars that Alabama wanted to sign, pledge with the Aggies this cycle. I thought Deion Sanders said it best, man. Saban used Jimbo Fisher and Jackson State basically as pawns, sacrificial lambs, if you will, to make a broader point about NIL and how quickly it has morphed into something, far more sinister than any of us thought it would be. And that's a pay-for-play type scenario.
In the way you say that, and you say you agreed with Deion and how he worded it, is what Nick Saban said incorrect? Or was, as you just, I think that's where you're going with that, is that I've never seen, I said this on Wednesday or Thursday, whenever this came out, whenever we got word of it, Nick Saban's he's not lying. And he really kind of, in my opinion, was not calling Jimbo Fisher a cheater. He was just saying, this is now the world we live in, and I don't like it. Are you on board with that phrase from me? Or do you think this was a little more of a pot shot at Texas A&M, or was it Nick Saban saying, hey, here's the world of college football. We're going to have to keep up with the Joneses ourselves?
Yeah, I think it was a little bit personal. Saban usually doesn't come out and single out specific programs. He's already shared his thought-provoking, commentary on name, image, likeness, how much he despises the transfer portal, which, by the way, he basically plucked Georgia Tech's best player in December, and Jahmyr Gibbs. And, Jeff Collins is not happy about that, but you're not going to see Jeff Collins, say that publicly. So, it was kind of surprising remarks from Saban. Obviously, it's stuff that he has reiterated before over these, last 5 or 6 months. But like you said, man, he's not wrong. Texas A&M has a NIL collective. For Jimbo Fisher to come out and say he's not even sure what the Aggies NIL collective does, I mean, come on, man, get real. So, I just kind of had a problem with Fisher's rebuttal. Basically, calling Saban a narcissist, saying he's the god of college football, and then look at Deion, man, taking the high road despite Travis Hunter and Jackson State also being called out. This is coming from the same Saban who, 2 weeks ago said that college football lacks parity at the top. One way to get parity is start allowing some of these smaller programs to sign these 4- and 5-star guys as well. So.
He's Brad Crawford joining us at 24/7 Sports is how you can follow him, B Crawford 247 on Twitter. To move on from that, next week will be the SEC meetings down in Destin, Florida. Those two will probably have to sit next. The great thing would be if they're forced to sit next to each other in one of those meetings. That would be what Greg Sankey should do, and just sit there and say, all right, you two got to sit next to each other. But the biggest news, I think there's going to be a lot of news that comes out. I don't know if we'll have any resolutions on the actual news, but I think whether it's scheduling or the SEC stance on the college football playoff, what do you think is the biggest piece of news we gain next week out of these meetings?
Hey, some of this stuff to come out recently about the SEC potentially kind of breaking off and having its own playoff. Let me ask this. I mean, who in college football nationally outside of the SEC would actually care if the SEC had its own 14 playoff? I mean, I don't like this whole we're going to take our ball and go play on our own court idea that this brings forth. A lot of things I think, in my opinion, that are said during the offseason have no intention of ever coming to fruition. And this is another attempt from Greg Sankey at really showing the rest of college football that we kind of do what we want in the SEC.
Well, let me ask you this. This is what I was talking about in the previous segment. We got a few minutes that I can get your opinion on how realistic my theory is on this. At this time last year, we had no clue what Greg Sankey was in the middle of undertaking with Oklahoma and Texas. Massive transition. One of the biggest we've ever seen in college football. Zero clue. He was able to pull it off without so much as a peep from the media until we got to August. My opinion of this is Greg Sankey is, and I shouldn't say my opinion, we know that Greg Sankey is not happy with other conferences. Greg Sankey doesn't need the ACC for his playoff. He doesn't need the Big 12 or the Pac-12. What he needs is Clemson and maybe Florida State and maybe Miami, maybe Virginia Tech and North Carolina. Pick whatever teams you want. He needs Southern Cal and Oregon and maybe UCLA. I think the SEC and the Big Ten can work together. They're going to be the financial they are the financial money holders right now. If you look at what's supposed to come down the pipe, what if he's willing to look around and say, hey, look, I know what your grant of rights is, but look at all the money we're going to have. We'll pay for it to come out. I don't need, and somebody pointed out, I think it's not John Swafford, it's Jim Phillips. I don't need Jim Phillips in the ACC. I just need a few of your teams. I don't need Duke and Wake Forest. They're useless to me. Boston College, Syracuse, nope, go play other sports. That's where I wonder if he said, I've already plucked Oklahoma and Texas. I'll come pluck your teams as well. I don't need your whole conference.
I mean, it sort of sounds like, Bill, that we could be heading toward a 24-team super conference then, if that's the case, where, SEC basically buys the 2 or 3 best teams from each Power 5 and adds them to the SEC, and we create a new name for the league that basically will have, the next 20 years worth of national champions. I think it starts just at the top, man. There's currently no leadership in college football from the NCAA standpoint. That's why we've seen NIL and the transfer portal really in about a year span just go completely out of control. And I'll go back to Nick Saban saying there's no parity in college football. Well, part of that's because Alabama has won 6 of the last 12 to 13 national championships, and I think the SEC has won 9 out of 12 with Clemson winning a couple and Ohio State winning one. So I just think it's very interesting right now, trying to project what college football is going to look like in the next 10 years. I certainly can't do it. I know you can't do it, but if we do get to a situation where, we're basically watching 24 teams compete for it all in one conference every year, I'm not sure that's great for viewers and fans of, the smaller programs who, let's face it, really have no shot.
I'm not sure if it's 24. I think you're limiting it just to too few. I think you go out. You can, granted, 32 is only 8 more, but maybe you're willing to go to 4. That's what I could honestly see, and that's where I see Greg Sankey. And we had a text messenger on our program here, Richard, who hit us up, who said that basically that he's tired of the SEC thinking that they are much better than everyone else. But to be honest, this is a scenario where the SEC might look around, and again, they can partner with the Big Ten. You partner with the Big Ten because, Brad, we know the Big Ten's about to get a pretty massive television contract. So right there, in and of itself, you go to 30, is it 16 and 14 at that moment, 30 teams.
Right.
And then, again, you pluck who you want. Clemson, Florida State, Miami, North Carolina, Virginia Tech. All right, you 5. Want to throw Georgia Tech in there, that's 6. You go out west, you get a few more. Yeah, you get to 44, 45, and you kind of combine, and there's where you get your, for lack of a better term, dictator, but your commissioner of college football in Greg Sankey, who now steps in and goes, we have one set of rules for you 45, 50 schools that we're all going to follow. We're under one conference. We're under one guideline, and ESPN's going to have a say in this because they have a lot of inventory, Brad, in those bowl games that they want to keep so that we have something to watch in December.
Oh, ESPN is going to have a huge say in it. Basically, ESPN is who pays Greg Sankey's salary. I think it's around $2.9 million a year. Obviously, that's going to go up with the SEC continuing to print money. I saw revenue numbers the other day, and the SEC was $185 million more, even during the pandemic, than the Big Ten. So, SEC is still a profitable league. It always will be, as long as you have the haves and have-nots at the top of it.
We'll definitely look forward to catching up with you late next week if you're available to get your thoughts as the SEC meetings will wrap up. Appreciate you taking time this morning. Enjoy the rest of the week with your family, buddy.
Thanks a lot, man.
Take care. Brad Crawford of 24/7 Sports. We'll definitely catch up with him next week as SEC meetings should the college football playoff, it's a wild concept, but I don't think it's, if you start to analyze what the SEC really thinks of themselves, I don't think it's as wild as you would normally think. We'll continue talking about that. We'll get into some more, get back into the South Carolina baseball loss last night, 2-1 to Florida in the SEC tournament. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
The home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game. WNKT FM, Eastover, Columbia. A Cumulus media station.
Hi, Scott here with Traditions Fine Jewelers. Everybody knows that diamonds are a girl's best friend, but did you know that now there's a new kind of diamond that's sure to become a girl's new best friend? I'm talking about lab-grown diamonds, of course. They're exquisite, they're stunning, and
No word, Travis. Have not heard how exactly the vacation is going. Hopefully going well. I haven't really looked at Patrick's Twitter to see if he's been posting anything.
Yeah, I haven't seen
out
him
there.
It's like he just kind of went rogue.
So we don't know. We will wait patiently. Yeah, baseball program. We'll get back into that. Actually, a pretty easy radio show to do this morning. Larry, I can see definitely see the SEC just saying we're going to bypass the NCAA. We don't need them. Just move completely on past it. Be pretty interesting there. When does that South Carolina looks like they might be about to get a commitment too, and I need to see when exactly he is announcing. May 28th, 26th, 27th, so Saturday. No, oops. I don't think so, RL. You take over South Carolina baseball, you've got to be at the top of your game quickly.
Yeah.
I don't think South Carolina has all the advantages, though, that they had 12 years ago.
I'm anxious to hear more about that. Fair to Midland. How's that sound for how we're feeling?
Play number one here, and I'll call for it. In just a second. We'll play number one.
$7:01 on a Wednesday morning as you get up and Adam out there, Bill Gunner, Jen Jensen, Patrick Brett will be back, Travis, on our live stream asking if we've heard any word on how his vacation's going. If not, of course, I've not really followed his Twitter all that closely, so I'm not sure if he's posting updates or not or what's going on. The last one I saw was he had some of the barbecue out there in Texas where he is at. I'm not sure if he's posted anything else as I glance quickly to see how that trip is going for him, but it sounds like he was having an enjoyable time the last time I saw him put something out, which was May 21st. So no, that's the way you do a vacation, Jen.
Just go radio silent.
Yep. Just enjoy everything. So we'll get Patrick back next Tuesday when he is back to join us. And then by then we should have a better idea. Maybe after tonight we'll have a better idea of who is going to get their fingernails painted. That's right. We've still got our wager going on. We spun the wheel of agony and the popped up on fingernail painting. And that's it. I just looked over my shoulder, Jen, and that terrified me as I looked over at the wheel of agony. I watched too many paranormal television shows. Like when I looked over, there was a person standing behind me, staring in, looking at our televisions.
Yep, probably trying to catch the latest scores and all that kind of stuff. But it is a little unnerving.
I just glanced over at the wheel of agony, and there was a shadow over there, and it absolutely terrified me for a second.
So,
but
he's still hanging, but that's all right.
So good. That's fine. Once I'm used to someone standing behind me, I'm good.
Not a problem.
It's the initial right as you glance over to and see somebody standing right behind you, staring in like I'm a tiger at the zoo. So
you think you're that big of a draw?
Pretty much. I have a big ego. Not afraid.
What?
Yeah. 6 years. It's about time to admit on this program my ego is kind of out of control.
And we're saving that.
It'll go into it. So
you'll be hearing that in a show open at some point.
803-404-6100, how you can be a part of the program this morning. Last night, South Carolina drops a 2-1 decision to Florida in Hoover. The season comes to an end, 27-28. Here, it was gut-wrenching. I'll read one of the text messages in just a second. But, Jen, let's play the audio from last night. Here is the call of the final play at the plate where Florida's able to get that game-winning run across.
Line to center field. On comes Stone. He makes the catch. Runner tags. Throw coming home. Throw is in time. Runner is... No, they'll call him safe. They'll call him safe, and the Gators win.
I wish this was sent to us this morning by Terry Ford. I actually wish we had the rest of that, because if you didn't see the play last night, you hear Derek Scott's voice in there where he goes, and he's safe. He's and watching it in real time from the camera angle. Evan Stone makes a great throw to LaCroix at the plate. Great throw, puts it on the money. And LaCroix gets it, and it looks like he gets the tag in. And as you're watching from the television angle and you see the umpire start calling him safe, you're thinking, did he tag him high? How is he safe? How did this happen? South Carolina instantly reviews it. LaCroix jumps up, and the way he kind of reacts, again, as you hear Derek Scott, that's why I wish we had the rest of the audio, because the ball does pop out of the glove. But in the angle that I'm sure Derek had and the angle we had on television, you don't see the ball pop out of the glove. It's only when they go to the replay that you go, oh, okay. All right. Well, yeah, that was completely. And it took 45 seconds to confirm. But tough way to lose for South Carolina last night, because it was a great play. Evan Stone makes a great play. LaCroix makes a good play. You just got to be able to hold on to the baseball, Jen.
I did play a little softball, and I kind of remember that. This is kind of being an important thing. Yeah. Bless them. And of all ways for the season to end, it would be something like some way like this, where we were tied, went into extra innings, so there was hope. It's kind of, that's how that team's been. It's been hopeful, like, hey, we see shining rays of light, and then, ugh. Is that pretty close?
It was
pretty well articulated there, wasn't it?
Very well articulated. Anonymous text toys, and he might have done a little bit better, though. Says, what a perfect way for the season, for the nightmare season to end. Glad the suffering and gut-wrenching disappointment is done. Really time to consider a coaching change. Maybe not the same way that you phrased it, but...
No, I think my probably, I think he probably did a little better.
The same, but... last night, again, late, it was about 10 o'clock, I believe, is when that game, that's a whole other thing that we haven't gotten into this morning, is the SEC, what they're trying to do in football. They're definitely not succeeding in running a baseball tournament in Hoover, Alabama, each and every year with these games playing out the way they do in terms of time. But last night it was kind of late, but South Carolina, the stat that bothers me, and I read it, Tommy Moody is the one who started talking about it, but South Carolina had not had a losing season since 1996. They were 25-28 in June Rain's final year. This is the first losing season, below 500 season in 26 years for South Carolina. And, we laugh and we joke, and I enjoy when he calls in. Gamecock Larry has said for weeks that this isn't Gamecock baseball. And I haven't meant to make fun of him. I enjoy Gamecock Larry. It's more of how positive Gamecock Larry always is, predicting, as he did yesterday. We got both sides of the Gamecock Larry coin, where he was not happy with the baseball, but then he said football is going 12-0 and excuse me, until proven different, and then 11-1 and 10-2 and so forth and so on. And that's the kind of positive nature that we're used to. So hearing Gamecock Larry be very negative of recent has been a little startling. But I say all that because one sentence he's continued to say, that whether you like listening to his phone calls or whether they annoy you, one thing that you'll completely agree with that Gamecock Larry said is, this is not South Carolina baseball. This isn't what South Carolina baseball is. They don't have losing records. They really don't miss the postseason, but that's become a little bit more frequent here over the last 8-9 years. But losing records simply don't happen at this university.
No, and haven't for what, almost 27 years?
26 years, yeah. 1996. And somebody hit me up on the text line and said, do you know the last time prior, DJ said 26 years, the last time since a below 500 season. He says, guess how many years since the last one before that? 26, 1970. Time to make the move, in his opinion. So, couple of you, if you want to weigh in this morning, 803-404-6100 is how you can do so. Anonymous texter says, fundamentals are key. If you have time, cover up the ball with the other hand on the tag. That is taught in coach's pitch. And so, yeah, tough break last night. Certainly a lot of things that should have been done differently. And we can dwell on it. And certainly if you want to weigh in this morning, 803-404-6100 is how you can join us via the text line. You can hop on our live stream as well with your opinion. But the honest truth is, now it's time to move on from this season and ask the question. The very legitimate question is, what is the future of this baseball program with Mark Kingston? What is this thing? Because you've got 2 postseason appearances under Kingston in essentially 4 years. I know that it was your 5 because of the COVID year. I know some of you do not like throwing that out, but they were 12-4. I know they had some bad losses that particular year, but we don't know how that season would have played out. We have zero clue. Maybe they come together and they get really hot and they do something great. They make a College World Series. Maybe they end up having a losing season, and then this isn't even a question at all this morning. But the bottom line is we don't know how that was going to play out. But in the 4 full seasons under Mark Kingston now, you've got a 37-26, a 34-23, and now a 28-28 and a 27-28. This program hasn't won 40 games since 2016. They're on a string. I hate the COVID year because it throws off statistics when you're trying to make a point. But it's been 5 full seasons since South Carolina had a 40-win season. And to put that in context, 5 full seasons since South Carolina had a 40-win season. And to put that in context, South Carolina did not win less than 40 games from 2000 under Ray Tanner all the way up through 2014. Chad Holbrook with a 44-18 season. Then they backslid to 32-25 before bouncing back with a 46-18 record. So South Carolina went 15 of 16 years there under both Ray Tanner and Chad Holbrook, where the Gamecocks won 40 or more games. Now you've gone 5 full seasons, 6 in total, again, COVID year, but 5 full seasons since you've won at least 40 games. That's, to use Gamecock Larry's line, that's not South Carolina baseball. And the question becomes, where simply is this baseball program heading? And is it time to make a change? The next question becomes, you look at the administration, we look at the athletic department. You can send in text messages, you can call in, you can put it on the live stream, and I'll read it. We can hoop and holler and jump up and down, but it's going to be up to Ray Tanner and the administration to look at it and go, okay, Are we making a change? What are we doing here? And I think the question simply becomes at that point, all right, how quickly does this come down? I would assume, it's Wednesday.
They have to have been searching.
Well, I don't know if you have to be searching. Obviously, you should have a list. Now how much do you want to go out and back channel any conversations you want to have? That's another great question to be had. Are you back channeling? Are you just checking with agents? Would there be interest here? Would there be interest there?
Mhm.
You kind of know what's out there and what's not.
Right.
But
Don't look over your left shoulder.
there's nothing that's going to change between this morning at 7:11 and say Monday. They're not making the NCAA tournament, so that's why I say nothing's going to change. And Monday, when the selection committee makes their announcement. Now, I know some people say, go ahead and make the announcement now. You're not waiting on an NCAA tournament berth. I can understand waiting till Tuesday. I really can. Give it the weekend, get Kingston and the players back in town, meet with Kingston, meet with his staff. If you want to meet with a few, honestly, Will Sanders might not be a bad guy to meet with. Guy seems like a pretty important part of the baseball program right now. And I'm not saying you give him the opportunity to pick the next coach, but I'm just saying you meet with him and you get just if you're trying to do your due diligence. And then next Tuesday, if you want to come out and back Mark Kingston, then that's your prerogative as the South Carolina administration. Or if you want to take the other direction and say, oh, look, it's time to make a move. But I do think that decision, you've got time now to make sure your ducks are in a row, that everything's ready to be decided. 803-404-6100. If you want to weigh in this morning on any of that, certainly you can do so. As we roll through the morning, we'll get back into some college football discussion. Doesn't mean we're not going to discuss the baseball. If you've got an opinion or something you want to weigh in, we can certainly do that. Kaiser with an opinion says, I can live with Kingston coaching another year, but there's no way I'm paying to come watch it. Sorry, totally understand. 803-404-6100. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
Here's what's coming up on the next Extra Point.
Hey guys, Pearson Fowler here from the Extra Point, and coming up on the Wednesday edition of the Extra Point, we'll talk Carolina baseball now that we know what happened with the Gamecocks and the Gators. Was that the end of the road for the Gamecocks, or did they get to continue their run in Hoover? Also talk a lot of college football. Wes Mitchell will be with us in the 11 o'clock hour to talk recruiting. Preston and I will get into the history of recruiting in the 10 o'clock hour and a lot more on the changing landscape of college football. I keep saying that, but the potential changes in the SEC to a playoff structure, to the divisions, which might be going away. Just a whole lot of interesting stuff going on in college football right now.
The Extra Point with Pearson, Preston, and Gamecock Central. 9 a.m. to noon on your home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game.
Yes, this weekend is the official kickoff to summer, and that means getting out and being able to actually enjoy the summer, whether it's getting out playing a little wiffle ball in the yard with the kids, going out on the boat, maybe heading to the beach. You need to be able to enjoy the summer at the best of your health. And if you've been suffering from joint pain, if you've had issues in your knees or your ankles, even your fingers, whatever it may be, if you've had joint pain, it's time to call QC Kinetics and get back to living your life. Take action now. Get a free consultation. 803-281-6860. Again, that's 803-281-6860. Powerful, effective joint pain treatments with natural biologics are here, and they're with QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in regenerative medicine, giving you access to the modern-day joint pain solutions right here in Columbia. So give them a phone call, 803-281-6860. You can do all this with no steroids, no drugs, no surgery, so absolutely no downtime. You'll be right back to enjoying and living the life you've been wanting to live with the use of QC Kinetics. Don't go through another summer with that awful joint pain. Call QC Kinetics today, 803-281-6860. Again, that's 803-281-6860. Call QC Kinetics today for that free consultation.
107.5 The Game traffic from the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center. Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality. shepherdsglass.com.
All right. Yeah, I saw that, Sonny. I'm sorry. It's trying to do the show. I saw you sent me something. Let's see here. Yeah, in January of 2023, which is kind of like I did see that. I didn't read much about it because of that time frame on 2023. So much can change between now and then.
Actually, there were more cuts I didn't see.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Yeah, I really wish that first cut was.
Yeah, more.
Yeah, just because of the way the play was, like because I was sitting there like, geez, what was that? So
Maybe I can try to listen. About what time was that?
don't worry about it. It's not. I'd like that. We got Kip and some other stuff, and we'll be fine without it. It's just, but yeah, I figured out, download it, edit it. I actually did it last night. I had to go in and delete some of our older episodes, but I now know how to do that. So like anything that we do that's goofy or stupid on the live stream, we can.
Excellent. Speaking of goofy and stupid, I need to go to the skimmer.
There you go. Oh, you're so excited for that one clip. Yeah, Stephen, we do need to get into that. That's a Heath Klein. Heath Klein was very adamant about that yesterday, and I don't know. I wonder if it tells me the box. Let's see. I'm looking at the box score for Vanderbilt in Mississippi. I wonder if it tells me time of play. Oh, let's let you listen to the meat market play of the day.
10-2 and ranked 10th, challenged Nebraska, ranked number 21 in the Capital One Bowl. With 7 seconds left in the first half and the Gamecocks at their own 49, Nebraska led 13-9. It was at that moment that, in the form of Alshon Jeffrey, Hail Mary showed
9-yard line. 3 wide receivers right side. Takes the snap. Rolls right side. Shaw stumbles. Pump fakes. One time. Throws deep down the field. They're all there. Bounce play. Alshon Jeffrey's got it. Dives for the end zone. Touchdown Carolina. Touchdown Alshon Jeffrey. 51 yards. It's not a Hail Mary when you throw it to one. A shocker right before the half. Boom. That's why he's an All-American.
I tell you, let's go back and watch that one too, Todd, because Connor Shaw did a great job there. First, he rolled to his right to get away from the pressure, folks. Then he slipped. Then he got up, and he had some pressure. He moved back to the inside and planted his feet and threw it as far as he could, and Jeffrey went up over everybody to make the catch.
Final score, Cox 30, Huskers 13. And that's our old-timey clip of the day, sponsored by Old Timey Meat Market with 3 locations, Lexington, South Congaree, and St. Andrews Road in Irma.
The old-timey clip of the day.
The Early Game with Bill Gunter, Patrick Barrett, and Jen Jensen on your home of the Gamecocks.
The Early Game, 107.5.
The Game.
Happy Wednesday to you, Bill Gunter, Jen Jensen, as we roll along. I want to just say again, a lot of sports talk, and we like to be entertaining and lighthearted on this program. Even when there's heavy sports to talk about, we like to be, or heavy topics in sports, we like to be lighthearted, and we like to.
We're an escape.
Yeah, we like to enjoy ourselves. In all seriousness, we don't take ourselves. I certainly hope people don't think I take myself that seriously. Sports talk radio is one of the most meaningless jobs that's out there, but it's entertainment, and I enjoy doing it and being a part of it each and every morning. But we do want to send out thoughts and prayers to Texas this morning as the tragedy yesterday, absolutely awful at the Texas elementary school there. And we just we are thinking about that. Hopefully we're more of an escape this morning. As I said in the first hour, hug and love on your kids a little bit more as they go to school this morning. Life is precious, and certainly we want to talk sports, and we're going to do that. Get out to the phone lines in a minute, and we're going to continue to read text messages, and we're going to continue to talk about South Carolina baseball, get into some football discussion. But it is on our mind this morning that what happened in Texas yesterday, just awful. And thoughts and prayers go out to everybody out there in just an awful, awful situation. 803-404-6100. You can be a part of the program. A couple of you weighing in. Alan on the text line saying this morning, the coach they might want may be in the tournament, so may have to wait a while on a potential hire. You still, the day and age of the transfer portal and everything else, you've got to go ahead and make your intentions known. And if your intentions are to keep Mark Kingston, that's perfectly fine. I'm not saying we will agree with it. That's, again, the great part of sports talk radio, and that's part of the heavy sports discussion is not to come in here and cut up. But, that's fine. But I am just a believer. You do not let this drag out. You cannot have another situation like you had with Frank Martin in 2021 where his job status dragged out for 3 or 4 weeks. The South Carolina administration, Ray Tanner, the athletic department, they know. And I'm also sure that they've seen the attendance at Founders Park, which has been down. I don't know the actual numbers, but it has been down. And so everything is there for them to do their due diligence over the next 4 or 5 days. And then I think a fair date, I think more than fair, is next Tuesday. You're going to have the NCAA baseball tournament selection show on Monday. And, do I think South Carolina probably needs to head in a new direction? Probably so. But with that being said, if Ray Tanner's decision is to keep Mark Kingston for another year, then okay, he's the guy that is very familiar with baseball and with coaching and understanding what goes on with injuries and programs and everything else. And if that's the decision he makes, so be it. But I do think a decision needs to be made quickly. So, Alan, even if that coach is in the tournament, I think you give your players an opportunity to know their future. You need to let guys like Will Sanders and Evan Stone and you go through that list there of guys who need to know what the future holds for them and whether it's going to be Mark Kingston or a totally different guy. You need to do that. And then also, just for the sake of Mark Kingston and his family, you don't want him twisting in the wind for multiple days. Dogman weighs in this morning. Says, good morning. If you take Muschamp, Frank Martin, Mark Kingston the last 4 or 5 years, how much money have we paid for buyouts with those three coaches? If more Kingston gets relieved of his duties, this is on Ray Tanner. Well, Martin and Kingston's a $2.2 million buyout. That's what his buyout would be right now. Frank Martin's was not ridiculous. Remember, they restructured that back in 2021. That one wasn't ridiculous. The Will Muschamp one is the one that you go, oh boy, what happened there? $15 million. That's the Will Muschamp buyout is the absolute ridiculous one. Remember, they restructured Frank Martin. So his, I think, was not more than $2 million. It was around $2 million, if that. Mark Kingston will be 2.2 if they were to part ways with him. So that's kind of what you've got in terms of money. It's the Will Muschamp buyout that's the absolute outlier in that one, because it was $15 million on that. 803-404-6100, how you can be a part of the program. A couple of you also weighing in. Rick on our live stream says, I'm torn on Kingston getting the Axe or staying. Last in almost every category in the SEC helps. Say goodbye. So a couple of you weighing in on multiple things there. 803-404-6100, how you can be a part of the program this morning. Jen, let's go out to the phone lines to Mike, who wants to weigh in with opinion. Mike, how you doing this morning? What's on your mind?
I want to talk about a little Gamecock baseball, Bill. The way the game ended last night was obviously not the way you want to, but, maybe it was for the best because, we might still be playing now because the way this team, hits the ball or lack thereof, it's been terrible this year. I mean, I know our pitching's been hurt, but, what's wrong with hitting? That's a huge problem. And, if you look at the future of Gamecock baseball, that's the issue to look at. We're going to pitch and come back next year. Pitchers will probably be healthy, but the hitters, they were healthy this year. I know you had Seidler, but he was still playing. But we cannot consistently hit the ball. Kingston has just not shown, that he can develop talent. I know I brought up before when I called, but there's numerous guys that have left who are successful at other schools now, and that's just something you really look at. And then Bill, you brought up all those numbers. We as people, people in the public can't make a decision on Kingston. But Bill, those numbers are just strong data. They just show that Kingston has got to go. He has not had enough winning seasons here. And Bill, one more thing. He hosted last year as a number 2 seed, but he has not hosted as a number 1 seed at Founders Park, which to me, is just criminal. That park, Founders Park, is built to host regionals. We should be hosting regionals. And the fact that we won't be doing it once again this year, it's a shame. So, I just think the numbers show, everything shows that Kingston's got to go. And I'll give a listen to your response.
I appreciate a phone call there, Mike. It's certainly, you make a lot of points, and there's a lot of people that agree with you in terms of the offensive numbers. You're not the only one. Day weighing in on our text line. 13th or 14th in the SEC in nearly every offensive category for back-to-back seasons. Kingston has proven he cannot produce an even average SEC offense after 5 years. Say what you want about pitching injuries, but our pitching finished 11th in the SEC in team ERA. Our offense finished last in batting average and own base percentage. So a lot of you're not the only one. There's a lot of people pointing out exactly what you're saying. In terms of, hey, look, it's just not, because you're right, Mike, we've pointed out a lot this year about, hey, there's pitching injuries and there's this, but the points you make as it pertains to hitting are very valid as well. We'll see what exactly happens over the next few days. Alan weighing back in real quick, it says, agree, they can move on as soon as they want, but the hire may take a few weeks, and that's understandable. The only thing I'll say about the hire, if you're going to make a hire, if you're going to go out and do this, have a plan A, a plan B, and it does not get past plan C. I don't want to see another one of these crazy hires where it's just out there and it seems to get lost. Whoever your A guy is, back channel it, know what you got. If not, have a plan B. Have a plan when you go to hire somebody. That's all I'm asking for. 803-404-6100. We will continue taking phone calls and getting to your text messages as well. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
30 years ago, the South Carolina Gamecocks entered the SEC.
The exclamation point in the swamp. Carolina is going to Atlanta.
To celebrate, 107.5 The Game is putting together the top 30 Gamecock football players from the last 30 years.
Cooper running left side, now flipping it back to Ellington, throwing for Connors, into the end zone, caught. Touchdown, Carolina.
And you can help. Just go to 1075thegame.com or download our app and click on the voting form and fill out your top 30. Yep, it's that simple. Then starting in June, we'll count down the top 30.
Clowney just burst through, ripped the helmet off the tailback, and took it away.
The top 30 Gamecocks from the SEC era.
The 20 got one man to beat. 10-5. Touchdown, Carolina.
From your home of the Gamecocks, 1075 The Game.
I did stay up a little bit later last night watching the baseball, was totally involved, knew I was going to need a great night of sleep. Of course, also knew that we were going to have a lot of energy on this program, but I knew I was going to need a great night of sleep. Sleep Number bed, though, I can guarantee I'm getting that each and every night. You can find out for yourself. Right now, there's a great deal going on. Don't miss Sleep Number's Memorial Day special. Save $1,000 on the Sleep Number 360 Special Edition Smart Bed Queen. Now, only $1,999 plus free premium home delivery when you add a base and special financing. How about that? Subject to credit approval. Minimum monthly payments required. See sleepnumber.com for details. But the deal ends Monday, Memorial Day, May the 30th, and there's only at a Sleep Number store, 2 to choose from. One in Irmo on Harbison Boulevard across from Buffalo Wild Wings. The other in Columbia, 2 Notch Road across from Sand Hills Mall. You can visit them on the web, sleepnumber.com. Why choose proven quality sleep from Sleep Number? Because every great day starts the night before. And trust me, I know that just as well as anybody else. I put that Sleep Number setting on 45, and I wake up rested, refreshed, ready to come in here and talk about baseball or the NBA playoffs or the NHL playoffs. Boy, the Canes got destroyed last night, by the way. So make the switch to Sleep Number today and find out what a great night of sleep is truly like.
1075 The Game traffic from the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center.
Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality. shepherdsglass.com.
And out on the highways right now, we do have one accident to let you know about, and that's I-20 eastbound just after Longs Pond Road. The left lane is currently blocked, so big tie up there. Again, that's I-20 eastbound after Longs Pond Road. The left lane currently blocked. Some clearing today, 82 for the high. Afternoon storms tomorrow, 87 for the high. Right now, 65, 107.5 The Game.
Aw, you didn't have to go so all out for my birthday.
Yes, we did, because birthdays are...
There we go. All right. Yeah, I mean, that's another reason you gotta help the incoming freshmen. There's a lot to take into account now when you try to break down how to move forward from the coaching search. I think that's it. And Travis, I don't know whether the precedent was set. 2.2 is a drop in the bucket, but again, that buyout to Muschamp is the albatross. That's the one that you just look at. That was in 2020, so yeah, I don't know. Financially, they should be able to do it. They should be able to make the move financially if they want. I mean, to me, it's one of those things you just got to go and you got to bite the bullet, back up and punt, and just hope that you hire the guy that's going to get the fan base energized, sell tickets, win games, host regionals, make money. That's kind of where you got to go with it from. I didn't realize Jake Bentley got engaged. Of course, I guess he is, 25. That's good for him, though. Good for old Jake Bentley. Jen doing a little bit of make sure I glance at Twitter. You never know what's going to pop up on Twitter at 7:36 on a on a Wednesday morning. Yeah, I'm with you, Rick. Rick, I think, has got the buyouts. I mean, you can't get ridiculous. You can't. I think was it Florida State got into all those issues, but I'm with you. You can't worry about buyouts. 2.2 is not a bad buyout. It's when you're paying. Of course, again, you pay, multiple people $8 million. The Will Muschamp buyout was the bad one, but South kind of sucked it up and found the money, got it done. Can they do it again? I would assume that you can negotiate something. So, but I think you got a good point. Big time program. You just got to suck it up and pay the money. Seven 7:37 on a Wednesday morning, May the 25th. Bill Gunner, Jen Jensen, Patrick Prince still on vacation. As you would imagine, what we have been talking about is South Carolina baseball. The season comes to a conclusion last night. They fall 2-1 to the Florida Gators in Hoover, Alabama. I know a lot of you are fired up about this topic, and certainly I want to let you weigh in with your thoughts or opinions this morning. But the way the SEC is doing the baseball tournament, just ridiculous. I think, who was it? Somebody here on our text line, Steven, said, why can't they move the baseball tournament from Hoover at least once in a while? Yeah, the SEC, it's the strange. This might be the strangest thing. And that's why I asked. I kind of started the show, and I know we have listeners come in and out. If some of you have ever been to Hoover, I'm sure during South Carolina's true heyday, maybe some of you took the RV over or went over and hung out. South Carolina's not historically been good in Hoover, obviously 29-51 after last night. But they have qualified for the SEC tournament now for 25 straight years. I just don't know if keeping it there, is it that good of a tailgating experience? Because they really should move it around. You would think Atlanta would make sense. They moved the basketball tournament around. But on top of all that, then they try and force feed 4 baseball games in an outdoor event into one day. And yesterday you get the rain delay. Georgia and Alabama start at 10:30 and don't wrap up till I don't know what time they wrapped up, 4:30 or 5. I was folding clothes when it happened, so it was late in the afternoon. South Carolina didn't start till about 7 o'clock last night, and they wrapped up at 10. So we thought, I tell you what, let's go ahead, Vanderbilt, Mississippi. You guys play a game just so we can mildly stay on track. It's kind of ridiculous what the SEC does as it pertains to the SEC baseball tournament. It's actually a pretty big event, and you think with Texas and Oklahoma coming in, it might even be a little bit more of a draw there. I don't care. Put it out in Texas. Put it in Houston or somewhere. I'd try some other places and just bounce that thing around and make it more of an event, or at least try and use 2 ballparks, as Heathline said. 803-404-6100. Jen, let's get out to the Love Chevy phone lines. Ray wants to speak his mind on the baseball program and the programs as a whole. Ray, how you doing this morning? What's on your mind? Appreciate the phone call. Yeah, again, Ray, I'm with you. I don't know. That's the buyout portion. If you're just talking financially, certainly it's staggering. It's staggering. Now, Will Muschamp eats up 3/4 of that with his buyout. I don't think that Ray Tanner or the athletic department has done an awful job with Frank Martin or with or 2.2 for Kingston for a baseball program that you expect to host. That was a good point. South Carolina hasn't technically earned a regional in Kingston's time. It's just kind of one of those things where I'm not going to sit here and pretend I know the financial situation at the University of South Carolina and what exactly takes place down there in the books and what they can afford and what they cannot afford. I do agree, though, with the SEC. You kind of look it up, and as some of you are weighing in on both our live stream and on our text line, you're saying, look, SEC program, you suck it up and you got to pay the money. I mean, it's that simple. You've got to suck it up and you've got to pay the money. South Carolina's been in two regionals during Mark Kingston's time. Obviously, the Greenville regional in the East Carolina in 2018. That was with Chad Holbrook's that was the first year of Mark Kingston. So you can kind of maybe say Chad Holbrook's players, and then the Columbia regional last year. 803-404-6100. We'll get out to more phone calls when we return. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game. Big weekend plans, hopefully. Maybe having friends, family drop by, hang out, do whatever it is you do on a fun Memorial Day weekend. But you got to have the house looking clean. And let's be honest, it's Wednesday already. You've got to get to the grocery store. You've got to pick up some party supplies, maybe some streamers and balloons. Whatever it is you do to enjoy a fun 3-day weekend, you're probably going to need to do it. And again, cleaning the house is one of those things, but that takes up time. Go ahead and just call Zero Res today. You've been hearing about a lot of Memorial Day sales, and I'm telling you what, this one you actually can use. Call Zero Res today and get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned for only $119. And when you mention me, Bill Gunner at 107.5 The Game, you get a hallway cleaned for free. You can call them 803-262-4020, or you can schedule with ease, zerorescolumbia.com. Again, that's $119. That's all it'll cost for 3 rooms of carpet cleaned right now with Zero Res and their patented ZR water technology, scientifically proven to keep the rugs, the upholstery, all insanely clean. And when you mention me, Bill Gunner at 107.5 The Game, you get a hallway cleaned for free. So schedule with ease online, zerorescolumbia.com, or give them a phone call today, 803-262-4020. Zero Res, spell it backwards or forwards. It's the right way to clean. All right. One more segment this hour. We have not gotten into the football discussion quite like I'd hoped to, but makes sense. Stretch for a minute after sitting for about 2.5 hours. Oy. No.
Now, can you summarize the conversation with Brad Crawford? It had to do with the SEC.
Yeah, I would just say break down upcoming SEC meetings. That's really all you got to break down the upcoming SEC meetings next week in Destin and look ahead to what the future may hold.
Okay. The fact that I'm even conscious right now, we gotta call that a win.
Okay. I'll take that.
Yeah. Don't hear anything.
Nope.
That's the hard part is when you're on the phone and there must be some fluid in my ears because I kind of hear garbled, when I'm listening.
Really?
So I need to get some more music next going and I'll get that clear. But oh my God.
Craig, we may take the boat out all 4 days. I'm working on that loan. I need a loan to be able to buy gas on the lake right now. So I've offered up my firstborn. She's 12. Figure she's pretty good for about $400,000 to be able to get gas. I went out to Liberty on the Lake last week, and it was like $82.
Yeah, it's bad. And I tell you
It was
what, I don't
ridiculous.
choose to go out on a holiday.
It was $82 for wasn't even, I don't know, maybe a quarter of a tank. It was enough to get over to Catfish Johnny's, cruise around just a little bit and get back. But I probably need to go. If you're going to go get gas, you probably got to do it on Friday just to avoid the rush. But actually, now that you say that, it'll be kind of interesting. We will go out on the lake this weekend, and my daughter's excited to get on the inner tube and for us to pull her around on the boat. But actually, now that you say that, I'll be interested just because of gas prices to see how busy the lake is this weekend. I didn't even think about that until you kind of bring it up. See how crazy it is. Good grief. Buffalo Creek. I haven't been to Buffalo Creek. I do want to do that. I haven't been to. We got stopped at Buffalo Creek last year to get gas.
Where is that?
I don't know if it's technically in Prosperity, but it's up on that Chapin side of the lake, kind of way back up.
Okay. Well, I need to put that on my list of places to go.
That's a good little, yeah. $7:48 on a Wednesday morning. Bill Gunner, Jen Jensen, as we continue to roll through. I hadn't gotten much into the football discussion. Brad Crawford, big thank you to him for joining us about an hour ago. Coming up in about 10 minutes, Kip Bouknight. We'll get his opinion on what he has seen and what he thinks moving forward. So Kip Bouknight will join us coming up here in about 10 minutes to start the 8 a.m. hour. If you want to weigh in, 803-404-6100, how you can join us. Let's see here, a couple things. York weighing in says, hey, early game crew, the last play was a killer, but the ball hitting the third base bag and bounding over our guy's head really got me. Hope saying, yes, that was such a Carolina thing to happen. And then one more was Rick saying, yep, the baseball god saying Mark Kingston must go. So, yeah, last night, just a tough loss for South Carolina. DJ saying the buyout drops to 1.4 on June 1st. I had not read that. I thought it was 2.2 this year. But if so, I'll look into that during the upcoming break and see if that's the case. Mark Kingston's buyout set to be $2.2 million. But thank you to DJ for sending that in. I'll see if I can find more contract information on that. 803-404-6100. Jen, let's get out to the Love Chevrolet phone lines. A man I've referenced a few times this morning for saying that this has not been South Carolina baseball. Gamecock Larry joining us this morning. Larry, I've joked with you, and I'm just not used to you being a little more negative, but you have been right all year. 27-28 hadn't happened in 26 years. You're right. This is not South Carolina baseball.
To 1969 and 70. This is the worst coach. He's got the worst coaching record. He's got the worst percentage of winning, and he's got the worst hitting team in the SEC in all offensive things. What has he done for the Gamecock program? Took them top to bottom. Now, Ray, it's time you to call him in. I've had this plan. You call him in today, say, this is it. Here's your $1.5 million. That's what the buyout is. 1.5, here's your money. You're on your way. And let him go. And because if not, you're going to be 3 to 5 years building this program back up if you keep this coach another year. Let him go. That's all I got to say. Go Gamecocks. Nice talking to you, Gamecock Nation. We'll make it. No Gamecock land may not be around, but once a Gamecock, always a Gamecock. Got to pull for him. But Kingston got to go.
Appreciate the phone call, Gamecock.
Got the positivity in there. I like that.
Well, look,
Speaking truth.
Anthony says Gamecock Larry needs to monitor the hiring. Then, and that's going to be the next point. The next question is, okay, where will they go? What will they do? Is there a plan in place for the next guy? And that's going to be the big thing. We will sit here 7:53 on a Wednesday morning. I'm going to research what DJ sent in on our text line coming up in a few minutes about just to confirm what he was saying about the buyout dropping to 1.4 on June 1st, which would be next Tuesday. And if that's the case, okay, then you understand what is happening and why it might take a week for the decision to be made. It's just going to be interesting. I think South Carolina baseball is certainly. I was going back and looking because I think it was DJ who sent in earlier, and he's right to tell you how rare of an occurrence. And let's be honest, South Carolina athletics as a whole over the last 50 years has been average at best. Football has had nice moments here and there. Obviously, the 4-year run under Steve Spurrier was phenomenal. 2 years under Lou Holtz, a year under Brad Scott here or there, some nice years under Joe Morrison. But football, by and large, average at absolute best. Basketball, great Final Four run. I continue to say the run that you just saw basketball on in terms of winning seasons is the best we've seen since the 70s. We'll see if that can continue or not. But you weren't making NCAA tournaments, so I do get that. You had some nice moments in the 90s with Eddie Fogler, some okay moments in the 2000s, winning the NIT twice with Dave Odom. But basketball has been by and large average. So when I tell you that since 1970, Bobby Richardson's first year as South Carolina baseball coach, that since 1970, 52 years, there has been previously there were 2 losing seasons. That in 1970 and one in 1996, and now you get the third one. That's how rare of an occurrence it is for South Carolina to have a losing season in baseball. 3 since the year 1970, 1996, and 2022. South Carolina fans are not accustomed to losing in baseball. There is a long history now, obviously at least 52 years, of success. And that's what makes this one tough to swallow. And plus, you had a really good pitcher in Will Sanders, who, again, did everything they could do last night, or did everything that he could do last night to give South Carolina a chance to win. And I hate that a great performance by Will Sanders gets glossed over. We'll catch up with Kip Bouknight. We'll see what his opinion is, what he thinks about the current status of the program. When we come back, we will cover more. Let's get into some football discussion as well in hour number 3. A lot to get to this morning. If you want to weigh in, I see several of you doing it. We'll certainly make sure we get your opinion out and allow you to voice your concern or whatever it may be. 803-404-6100. Got a lot going on this morning. I want to let you know, make sure you get out to Safe Federal Credit Union today in Lexington. Pearson Fowler will be out there from 9 until noon. We'll continue to tell you about that, but 9 until noon, Pearson Fowler will be out at Safe Federal Credit Union in Lexington. We'll come back. Kip Bouknight on the other side. It's the early game on 107.5 The Game.
The home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game. WNKT FM, Eastover, Columbia. A Cumulus media station.
Hey, if you've got a hole in your roof or you need a whole new roof, you need to call Midstate Roofing, 356-1919. For nearly a quarter of a century, Midstate Roofing has established its reputation as the leader in the roofing industry. Whether it's above your head or at your feet, perhaps a leaky foundation, 356-1919 is the number to call for all your roofing and waterproofing needs. The quality and craftsmanship of a Midstate roofing system are tops in the industry, especially commercial and industrial roofing systems. If you own or you're in charge of a large building, warehouse, or industrial facility, then you're in charge of that roof. And at some point, a roof is going to need some attention. So the number to call for advice, service, results, and a commitment to customer satisfaction is 356-1919. See all that Midstate has to offer when you click on midstateroofing.com. Tell them, Midstate Twins.
If you have a leak, let Midstate Roofing take a peek.
356-1919, midstateroofing.com.
It's official. Summer is almost here. The sun is getting brighter, the days are getting longer, and your yard is ready for some love. Make sure your flower beds and bushes can handle the heat with special savings on Earthgrow mulch. Keep the sun off your soil and water in the ground, plus add a fun pop of color that will last up to 12 months. Hurry in. Earthgrow mulch, 5 bags for just $10. Feels like Memorial Day at the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Valid May 19th to 30th. In-store only. Color selection varies by store. Limit 75 per customer.
At the United States Postal Service, we deliver with advanced technology and equipment so we can reach over a...
All right, there we go. Jim, I'm hiring you. You will now be my technical assistant. You have to be here at 5:55 in the morning. I expect you to be here. We got too much going on. Run the live stream. It's actually we really need a full-time fourth person to run this. Trying to do the radio show, the promos, the commercials, do the actual show. Yeah, Trey is the assistant. Landon Powell is the head coach. Is Adrian Morales anywhere? I don't know if Adrian Morales is. I could be wrong on that. Yeah, I think personally, Landon Powell needs to move up a level. I maybe he's a great baseball coach, but it's scary to move him straight from North Greenville to South Carolina just because he's an alumni.
Of the program here, Bill Gunner, Jen Jensen, as we roll along. Want to make a correction there. Pearson Fowler will be at the Safe Federal Credit Union in Sandhills out in Blythewood. So don't go to the Safe Federal Credit Union in Lexington. Go to the one in Blythewood and see Pearson Fowler today. Make him sit down with him. Make him talk a little baseball there. Don't let him start talking about all that soccer and stuff. It's baseball right now. We appreciate Tony Annan is our soccer guy. We're going to do a weekly segment with him. He will be joining me in the next couple weeks. But no, Pearson needs to talk some baseball today because that is what is on our mind. But I look forward to catching up with our good buddy Tony Annan, who joined us on Monday. I didn't ask him. I didn't ask Tony, Coach Annan, afterwards how I didn't get to ask him how he performed. I saw him. He looked content. He looked happy. But I look forward to catching up with Coach Tony Annan in the next couple days or the next couple weeks to talk a little soccer with him as his guys get ready. Really, just to go off topic for just a second, in talking with Coach Annan, the soccer team, and I think he's going to build a power over there. It's crazy the rules that they have for the limited amount of contact he can have with his players this offseason. And I don't know if people listened on Monday when Coach Annan joined us. He made a comment that to me is insane. Like, we talk about football preseason practice and you get basically 30 days. He actually starts working with his players. He gets to start coaching his players, being on the field with them 5 days before their first game of the year against Duke. Crazy rules. I wanted to touch on that more, but obviously we've been busy this week talking baseball and certainly some things going on in football. But it was just a weird, like, you talk about the NCAA being just so off kilter. That was one of them. But appreciated Coach Tony Annan for joining us on Monday, and I look forward to having him on. We will get him on for a weekly segment starting in the next few weeks and catch up with him. Back to what we've been talking about this morning. Obviously, it's been baseball. If you want to weigh in, 803-404-6100, how you can be a part of the program. It certainly did not go the way it was expected last night or the way it was hoped. South Carolina drops a 2-1 decision to Florida in the SEC tournament. That ends the season. 27-28 is the record for South Carolina. First losing season in 26 years. The second since, well, it's the last one was 1996, and the one prior to that was 1970. So maybe that's how these things go. You get one every 26 years. But South Carolina baseball now, I think, has some decisions to make. And joining us now to talk about that and to talk about what he's seeing, a guy far more knowledgeable about baseball than me. He even pitched at one point, and he won some spikes that are golden. Kip Bouknight joining us this morning. Kip, baseball is a funny sport, and there's injuries and there's things that happen, and unfortunately, sometimes it just feels like there's karma. And last night, that final play, it pops out of a LaCroix's glove there at home plate, and it's an unfortunate play, but it just feels like when things are going wrong for you, it's the old rain that pours adage, and that was last night.
Yeah, good morning, Bill. Yeah, it's tough. I mean, you look back at earlier in that inning, the double that goes off the bag at third base. I'm not sure if Vasquez is able to get the runner out at first because it was kind of a slow roller, but he was playing no doubles exactly like he should have been, and just a very unfortunate bounce. And obviously, LaCroix wasn't able to hold on to the ball. A perfect throw by the center fielder, and just heartbreaking. A really, really, really tough way to end the season. And actually, earlier this morning, I watched Andrew Eister's post-game comments, and watching them, I'm not sure if I was tearing up and crying more for him and what all he had to say. If you haven't watched it, it's definitely something to watch. It just goes to show you there's more to it for these young men than the game of baseball. And I certainly have grown to love him over the years. He's been amazing to my two boys, Sumter and Case, and it's just really heartbreaking. A very tough end of the season.
Yeah, they battled. I mean, and I think that's to your point, and you've been there, and you can relate to it more so than I can because you've been in the dugout and you've been in heartbreaking situations. It's one thing if they'd have gone out yesterday and lost 8-0 and it just wasn't a game, but you could see the emotion in them. They tie the game in the ninth, and to have that play at home, But Will Sanders' performance, the young man goes out and just does everything he can, Kip, and just as a former pitcher, how much can you appreciate what Will Sanders was doing on the mound last night?
Well, I appreciated it big time. Quite frankly, it was by far the best outing I've ever seen him have. I know he had a really good outing against Clemson, I believe it was, maybe last year. But, the only thing for me is I would have liked to seen a guy step up like that as an ace. And Noah Hall did do that this year, really. I shouldn't say that because Noah Hall did, but Will Sanders, if that's what we could see out of Will Sanders, then I would have liked to seen that a lot more this year, because that's what it takes for a Friday night guy to be able to go out and, some would say when your team's struggling a little bit, a starting pitcher can just say, "Hey guys, hop on my back, let's go." And last night, that was it. I mean, that was elite stuff. He was mentally absolutely into that game. And, he had shutout stuff. And that's, if you've got that type of ability, the only thing I would say is I'd love to see that mentality every single time he gets the ball. And I know that's a tough thing to do, but, that's the only way I know, is to play the game that way. And so I would love to see that in the future for Will Sanders. But, it's just, it's tough, Bill. I mean, it's really tough to see the program where it's at right now. And obviously I eat, sleep, and drink South Carolina baseball. And, I'm just devastated for the kids, because I've gotten to know a lot of them. I say kids, the young men. I've gotten to know a lot of them and talk to them, obviously being around for a lot of the games, doing call on the SEC Network Plus games. And it's just, it's really, really tough, because at the end of the day, these are young men that are working their tails off to try to do everything they can to get better and win games. And as well as the coaching staff. The coaching staff's been nothing but great to me. And it's just, it's really, really tough to see, where we are right now in South Carolina baseball.
What needs to change? And I just, is it recruiting? Is it, I don't understand the injuries with pitching. So there may be something is there. Maybe you see it more in the youth leagues that then carries over to college. Maybe it's fundamentals. I know some people have hit us up this morning and said, look, it's that last play. It's a fundamentals thing. LaCroix's got to cover the ball cover the glove with two hands. You see this team. What is holding them back? Is it fundamentals? Is it just as simple as injuries, Kip? Is there a lack of talent? What do you see when you're watching right now that is causing this team to have a first losing season in 26 years?
Well, the first thing I would say is, baseball can be, if you look at the whole body of work, I think that's what you've got to do, for Coach Kingston's career here, is look at the whole body of work. And the one thing that does, I think need to be addressed is the recruiting. I do know that going back to Chad Holbrook's tenure at South Carolina, when Mark Kingston came in, and some would say, oh, well, that was Chad Holbrook's recruits when they made the super regionals that year, in his first season. And that is certainly correct. But the first 2 or 3 years, I mean, King was having to get rid of guys that had no business being ever in a South Carolina uniform. So that was a very, very difficult time in trying to transition some of the talent that was coming in here. Now you see what we're seeing in year, 4 and 5, and some would say, well, Kip, he's had time and he's brought those guys in. But the only thing that you cannot discount is, when you do have 10 guys that are injured that should be on your staff, and especially 4 or 5 of them that definitely would have been able to fill gaps and not make us have to pitch freshmen in the roles that we had to pitch them in, you can't say that doesn't make a difference. So it's really tough. I really think it's a little bit more to it than just the wins and losses. I think one thing that certainly bodes in Mark Kingston's favor is this team. And again, whether it's the leadership of King or whether it's just having great players and great human beings like Andrew Eister, these kids don't give up. This team has had every opportunity to fold, and they haven't. And that's the thing that I think makes me more proud than anything, because at the end of the day, don't get me wrong, I want South Carolina back in Omaha, and I want to do anything I can to help that happen. I as a former player and a lover of the program, I would do anything for them. But to see that they're still playing their tails off and still playing the game the right way, that's a good feeling. Look at Mississippi State, national champions last year, and they're not even in the SEC tournament. So baseball can be a funny sport, but again, I'm not saying that none of those are excuses. That's just the reality of where we are. And I think, Coach Tanner's obviously got a decision to make, and he may have already made that decision. That decision may be that, hey, he's given Kingston another year and he thinks that he's done enough to keep this program going, or he may be looking to make a change. I don't know that. But I just know this. I'm ready to see us back to, being number one seeds and hosting regionals. And don't get me wrong, I think even as a former player, but definitely as a fan too, we've been really, really, really spoiled with South Carolina baseball. I mean, arguably over the last 30 years, 25 years, it's hard to say there's many more better programs. I mean, there's definitely some out there, but it's been a good ride. You just want to see it get back on the right spot.
Kip Bouknight joining us to talk a little bit about what he sees. Certainly want his expert opinion. Kip, a lot of people will kind of understand what you were saying about the pitching. Yeah, there was injuries, and that will set you back, and that made things difficult. But a lot of people have pointed out this morning, you look at the hitting statistics, and they're close. If they're not dead last, they're second to last in the SEC, and this seems to have been a problem. Chad Callett coming in, it's his first year kind of as the hitting coach. What do you see as the issue with the approach at the plate, or do you see an issue with the approach at the plate? Something has got to be there that's causing this team to really struggle in their trying to get guys in across home plate.
Well, I'll definitely say this. I think Coach Kaye I think that takes a little bit longer than maybe a guy that comes in with a different pitching philosophy. I thought the pitching philosophy this year, for the most part, was pretty good. I didn't agree with certain pitch calls in certain situations after a guy, in certain sequences of the pitches to the batters. But, last year you look at it, I mean, Wimmer was a guy that was striking out more. He was hitting high, lazy pop-ups because he was trying to hit home runs. And Wimmer's a guy that ended up having a great season and hitting 7 home runs, I think it was. And those didn't come until the second half of the season. He was looking gap to gap and drive the ball. So I do think it was a better approach. And I think, my personal opinion, I think it just goes back to talent. I think, when you've got, certain guys that are batting, 210 and down to 160 that are having to be in our lineup, I think that just goes back to talent, and it goes back to recruiting. So, for whatever reason, we've got to go the JUCO route a little bit more. We've got to get some guys in here that can swing the bats a little bit better.
Before we let you go, Kip Bouknight again joining us. Just final thoughts on this. I know I keep telling people that now the season's over, and it's not just about one season. It's about the full body of work that Mark Kingston has had. But as you now look back and you see this team, which had success at home against some really good teams, but struggled on the road, obviously late in the season, they seem to maybe put themselves in a position for the NCAA tournament, but then they lose 4 of their final 5. What are your final thoughts on this particular season? Not the full body of work of Mark Kingston, but this one season.
Well, I'll say this. I'm really, really proud of those 18 to 22, 23-year-old young men for not folding, because there's one thing I don't like in life, and that's front runners. And it's really easy to be good and be, when everything's going well. And I try to teach my kids my 2 boys, and I try to teach the kids that I coach in baseball and whatever sport it is, and it's the game of life, is when things are not going well, it's really, really easy to give up and fold. And they did not do that. That's what I'm honestly going to remember about this team. And I think Mark Kingston would probably say the same thing, because now, where does that come from? Again, and that's what I think Ray Tanner has to do a really good job of, is interviewing the players, talking to them, talking to former players. Is that because of their leader? Is that King? Or is that the clubhouse where the kids just able to overcome that? That has to come from somewhere. And you would have to think qualities like that do come from your leaders. So, again, that's my take on it. I love Gamecock baseball, and I would do anything to you know, to help this program, to try to get this program back to where it needs to be. And I think obviously there's a lot of folks listening that would love to get it back there. And I think the quick reaction is, oh, we've got to make a change. But I trust that Coach Tanner will do a good job of trying to figure that out. And I mean, there's so many things that are involved. You got buyouts, you got all kind of things that are so complicated now. But you know, I just wish them nothing but the best, and really feel for those guys today.
He's Kip Bouknight. Appreciate you taking time to join us this morning and offer your expert opinion and the way you see things. We certainly look forward to catching up with you maybe in the next couple of weeks as things die down and we kind of step away and some of the emotions move on. So we appreciate you joining us and look forward to catching up here in the next few weeks.
Okay, thanks, Bill.
Take
Enjoy
care.
the show.
Thank you. Kip Bouknight joining us. Always appreciate hearing from him and the opinion he has. Certainly means a lot. 803-404-6100. We'll come back. We will get back into some baseball discussion. Also talk a little football as well. Want to remind you again to get out to Safe Federal Credit Union in Blythewood at Sand Hills today. Pearson Fowler will be out there from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. So swing by and see Pearson at Sand Hills in Blythewood later today, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. It's the early game on 107.5 The Game.
Here's what's coming up on the next halftime show.
Hey guys, Jay and Terry coming up on the Wednesday halftime show. All the recap of Carolina, Florida, and what's next for South Carolina baseball. Big picture, small picture, Terry Ford. Well, we'll find out all those things here in the coming days.
We will know.
We will. And
how soon will we know what we don't know?
That's a great question as well. That sounds very philosophical.
Did you like that?
I might actually hurt my head a little bit.
Yeah.
I'll think.
Bathroom break. Be right back. Try to survive. All right, good interview there with Kip. You know, it's interesting. You wonder if, like, you got guys like Braswell, Evan Stone. I don't know. It's hard for me to gauge where the talent level on this team really is. You know, compared to everybody else. Obviously they're not Tennessee. But it's interesting to kind of try and gauge where exactly this program is, talent-wise. Do some social media posting here. Try to Maybe see if we should do a TikTok again. I feel like we have to. If we're gonna do a TikTok, I actually have to do a dance today. Just don't feel like we can. Jen, I feel like there's got to be some kind of. I see all these TikToks with people dancing. Let's see here.
(803-404-6100). How you can weigh in this morning if you'd like to do so. Want to remind you we've got voting going on right now. You can go to 1075thegame.com and pick your top 30 football players of the SEC era for South Carolina. This coming August to be 30 years South Carolina has been in the SEC, and we have a poll for you. You can go to 1075thegame.com. You can click the little tab at the top, and you can pick your top 30 players of the SEC era. Yesterday, we were talking about quarterbacks. Tannehill, Wright, Steven Garcia, Connor Shaw, Phil Petty, Savell Newton, the 6 we've got on there. Now, you can choose all 6 quarterbacks if you want. You've got all 6 there. If you want to include them on your top 30 players, it's not position specific, so you can pick and choose who you want. Running backs, we've got Brandon Bennett, Deuce Staley, Derek Watson, Corey Boyd, Marcus Lattimore, Mike Davis, Kevin Harris. They also include Ryan Brewer, wide receiver, running back, and Patrick DeMarco. We didn't create a fullback section for that. Maybe we should have with Stanley Pritchett, actually. Might have to get on Tommy Moody about that as I read that. I think Stanley Pritchett was more of a fullback. Is it Pritchett or Pritchard? Pritchett. I think it's Pritchett. Stanley Pritchett. But so you can go and vote. 1075thegame.com is where you can do that. I'm kind of sticking on that quarterback discussion from yesterday. I wonder who the most talented quarterback, and it's unfair because Anthony Wright got hurt. Like the knee injury really, really set him back, and Brad Scott. But Anthony Wright had so much potential, and you wonder just if he doesn't get hurt, maybe what he could have been in his career. I also think that team, and I could be wrong about this, I believe that the Anthony Wright team there, I think his either sophomore or junior year, I've got to go back and look at exactly which one it was when he got hurt. They got beat by Tennessee pretty good up there, But that team was rolling along, I believe. That was, I believe, the 1997 South Carolina football team, if I'm thinking correctly. And I believe that team was rolling along, and then the injury to Anthony Wright. I might be dating myself on this. They lose, and then they lost at number 12, Florida, and then at Clemson, 41-27. But I believe that was the team that was actually sitting there at 5-3 that year and ended up going on to finish 5-6. And I believe that was the year. I could be wrong on this, so maybe somebody can weigh in and remind me, but I believe it was 97 that was the year that Anthony Wright went down with a really bad knee injury, then was able to come back the following year, but just kind of took him a year to get really back into the swing of things. I was sitting here looking at that particular team, that 97 team. Boo Williams at running back. You had Ben Fleming, Kerry Hood, and Carlos Spikes. Jacob Bush was the fullback. Phil Petty was a backup. Don't know if you remember this. Joey Unitas was on that team as well. They also had Troy Hambrick and Zola Davis. It was a pretty good team. You really look at the amount of talent that Brad Scott was able to bring in, and they just weren't able to really get the job done. And I mean, you read off some of these names on the defensive side of things. Ben Washington and Arturo Freeman as the safeties. You had Darren Hambrick and Willie Alford as the linebackers. I can't remember if that was also the year that that was the year I believe that Hambrick broke his leg and was out. I'm just kind of going back again, 97. So we're only talking 25 years ago, but John Stamper at defensive line. Pretty good team there. John Abraham and Cecil Caldwell on the defensive line. That was the 97 team, but you just always wonder what really Anthony Wright maybe would have been at. Yeah, anonymous texter says, yes, 97 at Tennessee is when A1 got hurt. I hated that for him, and who knows just how good he actually might have been, kind of set his career back. Obviously went on to have the most successful career of any South Carolina quarterback in the NFL. Had a long stay in the NFL. So you can go and you can vote on that at 1075thegame.com. The voting started this past Monday. Go to 1075 The Game. You can click on the tab at the top and pick your top 30 players of the SEC era. Again, just giving you kind of a quick rundown. The quarterbacks, Tannehill, Anthony Wright, Steven Garcia, Connor Shaw, Phil Petty, and Savell Newton. Running backs, and I'll talk more about the running backs tomorrow because I want to get into this a little bit with you tomorrow. Brandon Bennett, Deuce Staley, Derek Watson, Corey Boyd, Marcus Lattimore, Mike Davis, Kevin Harris, and then we include on this list Ryan Brewer and Patrick DeMarco. Man, we forget, I think, how good Deuce Staley was, don't we? Just because of age, and we just haven't seen him. And we've seen Kevin Harris the last few years, Quandre White. Man, Deuce Staley. If in Lattimore's career was cut short. We might have to rank those tomorrow. Bennett, Staley, Derek Watson was fun to watch when he was on. Marcus Lattimore, Mike Davis might actually have been the best. Who knows? Would Mike Davis? I mean, he's up there. Interesting just to talk about. 803-404-6100. You can go to 1075thegame.com to click at the tab at the top and vote on your top 30 Gamecocks of the SEC era. 803-404-6100. We'll come back. We'll continue talking a little baseball, get into a little football discussion. You're listening to the early game on 1075 The Game.
1075 The Game, streaming 24/7.
1 billion of us own a smartphone, and we know how addicting it can be.
Just go to iTunes or the Google Play Store and download our app so you never miss any of your favorite shows. On your home of the Gamecocks, 1075 The Game.
Memorial Day weekend means the start of summer. The start of summer means the start of incredibly hot temperatures. The start of incredibly hot temperatures means your AC unit is in jeopardy of going out pretty much each and every day. Don't let that happen. Call AAA Heating and Air today. You need to get them out to your house for a new customer inspection. Just $49. Make sure everything's working. You've heard me talking about AAA Heating and Air, and the reason being is they came out to my house recently and did a inspection, and they found a few things that we had issues with. They were able to get them fixed, and now I feel pretty comfortable with my heating and AC unit working through the summer because you know it's going to get hot. I mean, good grief, if you've lived around here, you're well aware of what happens during the summer in Columbia. Don't let that happen to you. Call AAA Heating and Air today, 803-677-1500. That's how you can get in touch with AAA Heating and Air. Get them to your house today. Let them do an inspection. If you need a brand new unit, don't worry. Number one, AAA Heating and Air, they guarantee financing. So even if you've got bad credit, AAA Heating and Air has got you taken care of. They will guarantee financing. Then they'll work with you. The best part, a $1,500 rebate to buy back your old unit. That's a great start. Then no money down, 0% interest for those who do qualify. And the best part, in my opinion, is the fact that you've got a 15-year transferable parts and labor warranty to which AAA Heating and Air will always be there for you. That's right. It's not like they just put in the new heating and air unit and then just take off and they leave you to kind of be on your own. If something goes wrong, Roy and Dana Finley, the great team at AAA Heating and Air, is there to make sure you are taken care of. So you need to call them. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you. 803-677-1500. Again, that's 803-677-1500. That's how you can get in touch with AAA Heating and Air. Call them today. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you.
107.5 The Game traffic from the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center.
Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality. shepherdsglass.com.
Still working an earlier accident, I-26 westbound at Piney Grove Road. Also, the shoulder is currently blocked due to an earlier accident, I-77 southbound at the Alex Sanders Bridge. 277 southbound at Farrow Road. We have a tie-up there, as well as Windsor Lake Boulevard at Two Notch Road. Your forecast for today: no rain in the forecast, a little bit of clearing, 82 for the high, 87 tomorrow, but a return of showers and storms tomorrow afternoon and evening. 65 right now on 107.5 The Game.
Hi, everybody. This is Woody Wyndham here to talk about Pioneer Tree Service. Pioneer Tree Service has more than 4 decades of helping homeowners maintain and manage trees on their property. Their skilled crew offers customized solutions that match your needs and budget. Tree trimming and tree removal can be dangerous. You need to trust the people that are doing the job. Before attempting to remove limbs, call Pioneer.
That sounds pretty good. Gullah Fest. That's sounds like a good little weekend. All right, let's see here. Yeah, DeMarc. I mean, it's kind of crazy to go through this whole list. Let me go back to this here. Let's see. Yeah, if you start doing that, just going through this list, the offensive line guys. I mean, there's a bunch of really good offensive line guys here. I'm just not sure how you would go about Ernest Dye, who had a good NFL career, Jamar Nesbitt, Cedric Williams, Travell Wharton. Probably need to have him on there. Jamon Meredith, T.J. Johnson, A.J. Can. Probably got to have Can, Nesbitt, and Dye. Tommy Moody came up with his list, and he left out Brandon Shell. Brandon Shell probably should have been on there. He's got Dante Sawyer at defensive line. If you got Dante Sawyer, definitely should have put Brandon Shell. Yeah, it's hard to just narrow it down to 30. CBS article on Spencer Rattler that I believe came out yesterday. Two days ago, or late yesterday. It's an interesting article I'm reading. I hadn't had a chance, the CBS article.
$8:37 on a Wednesday morning. Bill Gunner, Jen Jensen getting you through. Was talking about this voting you can go and do for the top 30 players for South Carolina in the SEC era. And we were talking about quarterbacks, Steve Tannehill, Anthony Wright, Steven Garcia, Connor Shaw, Phil Petty, Savell Newton. The name that Gamecock fans would definitely love to add to that list here is one Spencer Rattler. And good article on CBS Sports. Comfortable. Let's see, the official title of it is Comfortable Being Uncomfortable. Spencer Rattler aims to make most of second chance at South Carolina. It's by Dennis Dodd. It was put out on Monday. It says Rattler's longtime throwing coach has kept him in the game mentally as well as physically. A couple good quotes in here from Spencer Rattler that I really liked. And he says, and I think this is interesting because I said this back in the spring, and there have been players, definitely in my time, Jadeveon Clowney, Marcus Lattimore are definitely at the top of the list when you talk about guys who arrived at South Carolina with immense hype, having not played it down, thrown a pass, tackled a quarterback, run the football. Lattimore and Clowney and Stephen Garcia, for that matter, I still will contend Garcia, while not being the same like level of recruit, he was a top, I believe he was right there at the top 100. I believe he was in the 80s. He was a big-time recruit. He was up there. Those three, Demetrius Summers, although I guess maybe it was a little bit different back in 03 in terms of how we covered things, maybe just a little. He was up there. You might throw George Goss in there. Remember, Goss coming out of Conway was a monster recruit. But I say all that because, man, you go back over the years and South Carolina landing guys, Spencer Rattler is going to be as hyped or has been as hyped a guy. And he says the hype, this is Rattler in the CBS article, the hype over my arrival at South Carolina is not as crazy as it was in the past. And that's referring to when he went to Oklahoma. And that's kind of good for him. You hear him saying that, and that lets you know that he's really, I think, matured and is able to take things in a little bit easier. Certainly the pressure here in terms of team is not as great as the pressure in regards to what it was team-wise at Oklahoma. At Oklahoma, he was expected to go win a national championship. If Spencer Rattler, let's be pretty honest about this. If Spencer Rattler wins 7 games this year, but one of those 7 is over Clemson, there's going to be a lot of people putting him up there pretty high on the list of South Carolina quarterbacks. Like, you win 7-5 to me for South Carolina is the bare minimum this year. That's really what it should be. The schedule's tougher. I'm not sure how much more talented they are than certain teams. But if Spencer Rattler goes 7-5 this year, but beats Clemson, it's going to be probably near unanimous that it was a wildly, wildly successful season. There'll be more babies born 9 months from November 28th named Spencer, boy and girl, that will be overrun with Spencers in this state if South Carolina wins that game in Death Valley. I think we all agree on that. So it'll be interesting, but a very good article. You can go and check that out on CBS Sports. Dennis Dodd wrote it. Some really good stuff there as it pertains. We're not far away. It's crazy. You think about it. Today is May 25th. I think we're starting our 100 days countdown here next week. I don't have the exact number of days we are away from the opening weekend. We'll be having hopefully our golf tournament in August to kick off college football season out at Charwood. I'm working on that to get that scheduled. So we've got a lot of good things coming, but you can imagine this will be about the last month the college football talk will die down. You'll start to buy your Athlon and your Lindy's and all those great preseason magazines that you go and sit on the beach with. And then we get into July and it's SEC Media Day time. And then we go into August and fall camp. So it's not far away. If you want to weigh in, 803-404-6100, how you can be a part of the program this morning. We'll come back. We'll wrap up what we've talked about. A lot of baseball discussion this morning. South Carolina falling 2-1 last night to Florida in 10 innings. The season is over. South Carolina with their first losing season in 26 years. We'll wrap that up. And anything else on your mind, you're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
Here's what's coming up on the next Extra Point.
Hey guys, Pearson Fowler here from the Extra Point, and coming up on the Wednesday edition of the Extra Point, we'll talk Carolina baseball now that we know what happened with the Gamecocks and the Gators. Was that the end of the road for the Gamecocks, or did they get to continue their run in Hoover? Also talk a lot of college football. Wes Mitchell will be with us in the 11 o'clock hour to talk recruiting. Preston and I will get into the history of recruiting in the 10 o'clock hour and a lot more on the changing landscape of college football. I keep saying that, but the potential changes in the SEC to a playoff structure, to the divisions, which might be going away. Just a whole lot of interesting stuff going on in college football right now.
The Extra Point with Pearson, Preston, and Gamecock Central. 9 a.m. to noon on your home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game.
If you tried to buy a car lately, you know the difficulties that are out there. You know how stressful it can be. Buying a car is a big purchase. I mean, you're spending a lot of money. You need something reliable. You need something that's going to take care of the family. It can be a little stressful. But the folks that love Chevrolet, that's why I enjoy going to them. They make it a less stressful process. The knowledge with what they bring to the table, how they're able to explain how a car, truck, or SUV will save you money, or maybe some of the technology that's in cars these days, how it'll help you with your everyday commute. They don't stress you over trying to haggle or buy. They just offer you the $1,000 low price guarantee. And most importantly, they treat you like a family member. They're going to make sure from the moment you ride onto the lot looking for that perfect car or truck, whether it's for you, maybe it's for that college or high school graduate, they're going to make you feel comfortable. They even have cookies in the lobby and a massage chair. Trust me, there is nowhere else that will offer you a cookie and a massage and then try and get you to go purchase a nice vehicle. It's a really good deal. That's why I believe in the folks at Love Chevrolet, is because of how they treat people. They've been open for 60 years here in the Midlands, servicing Midlands residents because of how they handle their business, how they treat you, the way they work with you. They make it a fun experience. Buying a car really honestly should be a fun experience. You're buying something new. You're buying something shiny. It should be something you get excited about, not stressful. That's why I go visit the folks at Love Chevrolet. I-26 in Harbison between Lowe's and Frankie's Fun Park. If you're in the market for a new Chevrolet or maybe a certified pre-owned vehicle, the folks at Love Chevrolet have got you taken care of. And again, buying a car, it should be fun. It should be enjoyable. It should be something exciting. You hop in the car with the kids, you get that new car smell, you ride around. It shouldn't be stressful. Go find out how unstressful it can be at Love Chevrolet. I-26 in Harbison between Lowe's and Frankie's Fun Park, or on the web, Love Chevrolet. Love Chevy. Get out to Love Chevrolet and find new roads.
107.5 The Game traffic from the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center.
Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality. shepherdsglass.com.
And they're still working that earlier accident, Windsor Lake Boulevard at Two Notch Road. Also, we have a report of an object on the highway 277 northbound right there at I-77. Pisgah Church Road at Highway 1. There's an accident there. And I-26 westbound at Piney Grove Road. 82 for the high today with some clearing skies. 87 tomorrow, but then the return of afternoon and evening thunderstorms are.
All righty. Probably so. David, I forgot to look that up. Somebody else mentioned that earlier, that it drops to 1.4. I'll have to research that this afternoon. If that's the case, that's actually pretty huge. That's actually a pretty big deal there, if that is the case, with it dropping to $1.4 million on June 1st. Yeah, I have to check into that and see about that monetary difference. Let's see here. Let me do two things. But York, I'm a wide receiver out of Irmo. I'll have to go back and look at that. I don't think I guess wasn't a very highly thought of player. They were showing the little kid at the Arkansas game that was falling asleep, or not the Arkansas game, at the night game that was falling asleep, and then he was acting crazy. They must have fed him. I was at the softball game. No wonder what I'm watching. Without Patrick here, I don't know what I'm watching on television. This is the women's women's softball game. Well, July 1st makes sense because it's the start of a new fiscal year for the school. So July 1st would actually, I could see where a new fiscal year and basically it's saying you've kept him through that year. I understand why June 1st would make sense, but that's kind of like buyouts in football that are lower January 1st, not December 31st.
Final segment of the Wednesday morning episode. Big thank you to Kip Bouknight for joining us this hour to talk South Carolina baseball. You can go and check that out on our Twitter account or on Jen's Twitter account at Jen Jensen Moore. She makes sure she gets up each and every interview we have and does a absolutely fantastic job. So you can go and hear Kip this morning talk a little bit about the talent level of South Carolina, the recruiting. South Carolina, he said, just got to get some better players in here, and that's going to be a big part if Mark Kingston continues to be the coach. The recruiting has got to pick up a little bit, and so we'll see if that is. But you can also go to our webpage 1075thegame.com, where you can click and the podcast tab at the top, and you can hear any interview we've had. We had Brad Crawford on earlier this morning from 24/7 Sports talking the SEC meetings that'll take place in Destin, Florida next week, and a lot is going to be decided. I don't know if we'll get official answers as much as we'll get some stuff kind of leaking out. I think the one thing that we will hear about is the true direction that the scheduling format is going to go. Maybe we'll get a little bit of information on the potential entry of Oklahoma and Texas into the SEC, although not a year ago, 10 months ago, I guess, August, I thought for sure that 2023 would be when Oklahoma and Texas joined the conference. I didn't think Oklahoma and Texas would be able to make it through the Big 12 for the next 3 or 4 years, get to 2025. And I feel almost confident now that they will serve out the rest of their time in the Big 12, and the Big 12 is just going to profit off of them and let them, take whatever abuse they get from other Big 12 fan bases when they go on the road for the next several years, and Texas and Oklahoma are just going to wait. Maybe I'm wrong on that. I just don't see this necessarily changing quite like I thought it would be. And I think the SEC maybe is okay with that. I think that obviously what you're seeing is the SEC now trying to get their arms around everything. We talked a little bit about this earlier in the program. It's my conspiracy theory. Nobody else's. This hasn't really been discussed out there. But when you see the SEC mentioning, hey, we'll just take our ball and go home. We'll create our own playoff. We'll do our own thing, and the rest of y'all, we tried to help you. We tried to help you, ACC. We tried to help you, Big 12. We tried to help you, Pac-10, but you didn't want to, or Pac-12, whatever they are now. But you didn't want to listen to us. The SEC really can't go against the Big 10. Financially, the Big 10 is going to be fine. So the SEC and the Big 10 are going to have kind of an uneasy alliance of, all right, we're working with you, you're working with us, we're the big dogs in college football. But to go back to what I'm saying, I can see a scenario where the SEC and Greg Sankey's like, all right, ACC, Jim Phillips, you don't like my college football playoff plan? It's cool. I don't need you. I really don't need Duke and Wake Forest. I really don't know if I need Louisville. Not real sure I need Syracuse or Boston College. You know what I need out of your conference? I need Clemson. I need Miami. I need Florida State. I need North Carolina. I'll take Virginia Tech. I'll add Georgia Tech. I'll pay them. We're going to have boatloads of money coming in. I don't need all of your conference. I just need a couple to help form our super conference that us and the Big Ten are formulating. And then he looks at the Big 12. All right, well, you didn't like my plan? That's cool. I don't need Houston and TCU and Cincinnati. All I need out of your conference, and I don't know really how many it is, but maybe he just looks at it. He's like, all right, I'll take Oklahoma State. Maybe he looks around. He's like, all right, Baylor, come along. Maybe Iowa State. I don't know. You can see a scenario where the SEC, who is now starting to kind of flex more and more muscle, or Greg Sankey just says, you know what? You don't like my plans? I'm going to create my own mega super conference. 50 teams. I'll be the commissioner. I'll control what we do with name, image, likeness. I'll control how we govern college football. I'll control what we do in terms of postseason, and I'll work with ESPN to control the bowl system as well. We think something's coming. A massive change is coming. Why wouldn't it be the SEC just basically taking over the sport? Bringing in the schools that they want, paying out the money, having ESPN. And remember, these grant of rights deals, I don't know what the fine print of the language is. If ESPN or ABC or whomever, the Disney Corporation says, all right, yeah, sure, we'll help you. We'll give you money to buy out Clemson and Florida State and add them, because a yearly Clemson-Georgia game,
It'd be gold.
Having a little bit of Clemson-Oklahoma in your conference, little Brent Venables and Dabo Swinney, Texas and Georgia on a regular basis. Throw in incorporating the Big Ten into your conference where you can do some different things. A yearly, some kind of Michigan-Alabama matchup or Ohio State in the regular season. And then you've got your big 8-team playoff with your 50 or 55 schools. It's not inconceivable. Is it what I think will happen? I don't know. I've always thought we're heading toward 4 super leagues, 4 16-team super leagues, 64 teams. Why not just one super league? And then you branch up. You create an NFL style. All right, you got your AFC North. You want to talk true pods?
Mm-hmm.
You got your 4 or 5 team pods that you put around the country, but it's all under the SEC umbrella. It's all coming in. You got one commissioner running everything. We keep looking at how college football is going to evolve. Why would it not be that? It's something when Greg Sankey throws out the idea of, yeah, we'll take our ball home, we'll create our own SEC football playoff. The way I see it, the way I kind of hear that is, I'll just come pluck some of your teams out of your conference. We'll pay the money. We'll find a way to pay the money, because in the long run, a 50-team, 45-team super conference where at the end of the year we have 8 that move on to a college football playoff, it's going to be semi-valuable. So we'll see where that goes. It's a thought. It's a conspiracy theory.
Let's start putting it together. Come on, we'll build it.
We are.
We'll create a logo.
I mean, again, if you just go by that, okay, the SEC and the ACC and the SEC and the Big Ten, instantly you're at 30 teams, and then you go pluck about the next 15, 18 teams you want. There you're at 48 teams. Do we really need to include Kansas football and some of the other ones in it? I don't know. So we'll see where they go. We'll talk more about this. Matt says do regulation. I think I didn't say that correctly. Like European soccer, big boy league. I agree, Matt. We'll talk more about that in the days that come. We'll get into some college football. Appreciate everybody being a part of the program this morning. A lot of fun interaction. Appreciate you all joining in. Certainly all your opinions, be it on football or baseball. We'll do it all again tomorrow morning. Tomorrow, Kerry Tharp joins us, 8:40 as he always does. I'm sure we'll have another guest or two along the way. Appreciate you. Jen,
it'll be fun.
Excellent work.
Thanks, man.
We'll dig into that. Yeah, dig into that NASCAR stuff tomorrow. We'll tell you where NASCAR's racing tomorrow. Tune into the early 107.5 The Game.
What a guru.
The NFL with live local radio. 107.5 The Game. WNKT FM, Eastover, Columbia. A Cumulus media station.
At the Samuels Reynolds Law Firm, we've seen how terrible accidents turn lives upside down, and we're proud to be the lawyers our clients depend on during their toughest moments. I'm Jason Reynolds. Call me when your family...
All right, everybody. Take care. Yeah, you were right. Lexington, Shaq Rowland. Shaq Rowland is who you were thinking about. Very good. Yes. That is the one. So, yep. Y'all have a great Wednesday morning. Appreciate all.
Hey, guys.
We'll let Jen get out of there. Take care. We'll see you tomorrow.
See ya.